Do I think the catching print trend is drawing impressionable men away from feminism? Not that I can think of. I don't know why that would draw men away from feminism. I'd be curious why you think it would. I mean, if anything, now men maybe get to experience a little bit of what it feels like to be ogled, which, probably isn't that comfortable for a lot of guys. Do men like butt hair or not? Thank you. I know me personally, I don't prefer it. I don't want to speak for all men, but personally, I'd rather there not be butt hair. Oh, you guys are funny, man. I just can't believe that's the first question I got. NATO, okay. All right. I mean, I think that's a bit aggressive. I don't think it has anything to do with dating unless you're interested in dating somebody in NATO. If I want to try his dish, what dish? What are your thoughts on dating apps? I hate them. I hate dating apps. I think they're terrible for most people, and especially for men. I highly recommend getting off of them if you're not having any success on dating apps, because if anything, it's just killing your self esteem. And I think it's also dehumanizing us. I think there's something about scrolling, and seeing endless people that make you feel like there's people everywhere. Can I eat off his plate on the first date if I want to try what he got? I would ask him first. Don't just reach. I'm not a big fan of somebody reaching over and taking my food without asking. Would you go on the Whatever podcast again? Yes. I've been asked, actually, but then Andrew Wilson didn't want to debate me again for whatever reason. So I think they're trying to find an alternative and maybe another reason to go. But as of right now, not right now. But on Tuesday, I think I'm gonna go see Myron Gaines at the University of California in Riverside, and I'm gonna try to do what I can to get on the mic and debate him. Did you hear what Wilson is trying to sue Tilly? I did. She called him the R word, and would I go to Jubilee? I would. In fact, when I spoke with Not So Erudite, she told me to go ahead and apply, that she can even like hook me up with somebody there. The thing is, I'm not too political. Like, I probably could go in there and debate politics. Personally, I have my own political beliefs, but my channel isn't. So it'd be interesting. Do you ever interview men who are in the manosphere besides the podcast? I typically interview women, but I do think that's a good idea. I do debate them, but not necessarily interview them. Yeah, Inferno. I have a episode I posted last week. I had a whole podcast episode with her, and I met her in real life at Amfest, same place I ran into Myron Gaines and other people. But yeah, she's cool. She's good people. Um, that's my homegirl now. Yeah, and I just posted an episode with one of the girls who was in the Whatever podcast. She was one of the helmet girls that eats popsicles in the back, and I interviewed her. The youngest guest I've had on my podcast. She's only 20 years old, which is wild to be talking to somebody that young. What are the ethics of dating through single mothers with children? I don't think there's anything unethical or ethical in that direction. I think it's really a matter of how you treat people. I don't know. Andrew Wilson destroyed me. Okay, yeah. Well, some people aren't you good at using reasoning, so I think that's why you think that. Yeah, it's okay, man. It's okay. You can be a fanboy. It's all right. Just wipe your mouth when you're done. The ethics of dating single mothers. I don't personally think there's anything wrong with it. I think everyone has a preference. Some people don't want to be involved in another person's kids. Totally reasonable. Some people fall in love with somebody and say, you know what? Regardless, I'm going to be there. I think it's going to be different per situation. Some mothers want to keep boyfriends away from the kids, and some people want to introduce them. It's all a matter of what you guys think, but I think it's about setting the expectations. I once dated a single mother, and I told her, I wasn't necessarily ready to be like any sort of input on the children's life, and she was okay with that because she didn't expect me to. Is Myron doing a tour in California or something? Where can I see where he's going to be? I happened to tune into his show last night when I was working on something. I just had it on the background, and I heard him say he's going to be there. So I put it on my calendar. It's only a 40-minute drive for me, so I'm definitely going to go there. He keeps ducking my debates, so I'm going to try to confront him where he's standing. Do you think the manosphere affects men who are older, like 35 plus? Yes, I think when it comes to the manosphere, the older guys, they're either someone who hasn't had a lot of success in relationships, or they're somebody who's gone through a divorce and are pretty bitter about it. And so the manosphere kind of draws them in. So yeah, it can affect people of all ages, but for different reasons. Take the loss like a man and do better next time. Don't get too emotional. Say silly things too. No, man. I admit when I lose. I didn't lose that debate. Andrew did nothing to prove that red pill is effective for men, and I made all the cases against it. So tell me I'm wrong about that. Um, yeah, I get it. People who don't want to date a single mother. That's totally preference. I totally get it. I wouldn't say you're wrong for that. Not for a second. There's nothing wrong with not wanting to have that kind of responsibility or deal with somebody's, maybe potential baby's dad. Like there's a lot of things that, come with it. There's a lot of pressure and stuff you got to deal with. So, yeah. What would you say to someone that feels like they're not most women's type? Um, I would say that I don't know what that means. Like, what is it that makes somebody not someone's type? That's the thing I don't really quite understand. Like, are they saying you're not, like, can you give me more specifics? Because I think there's a lot of things men can do to upgrade their appearance, upgrade their confidence, upgrade their humor. There's a lot of things men can do to become more attractive. So I'd be curious what it is that makes you someone's type. I think I've been told I'm not someone's type because, like, there was this girl that was taller than me and she didn't want to date somebody shorter. Okay, that's fine. I understand. I'm not her type. And maybe there's somebody on the race side. Yeah, race wise, dude, I mean, you can't do anything about that. Like if somebody's going to be racist or like not have that preference towards your race, you're not going to be able to convince them. I feel like you just got to keep going out there and see the women who don't have any sort of issue with race, like, and don't see past that. 100%. Um, I'm wrong about what. Yeah, tell me what case he made that made red pill. That showed that red pill is not harmful to men. Because I came in there with the premise that red pill is harming men. I brought studies and I made the case against it. And all he did was try to talk about feminism. So tell me what he did to prove that red pill was good. I'll concede the debate if you can tell me what he did to show that red pill is actually not hurting men. Like seeing yeah, Erudite, she's great on debate. I think she's the best debater in the game, if I'm being honest. Like I think she's the best debater out there. um Thoughts on black pill? I think black pill is defeatism. I think it's absolutely cope. I think it's men saying, well, you know what, I don't need to try, or it's not worth trying, or it's not worth improving my personality, my life, my circumstances, because genetics have determined that I am a loser. So I think black pill is absolute cope and defeatism. And I think it's a weak, absolute weak mentality. I think it's loser mentality. And I don't like calling people losers. It's fancy fatalism. That's a great way to put it. It is fancy fatalism. Black pill is basically genetic determinism. It's basically saying your looks determine your entire life trajectory. And if you don't have the right jawline, if you don't have the right height, if you don't have the right, I forget what the score is for your face, you're done. It's not natural selection because there are guys who date beyond their appearance because there are many things that you can do to become attractive beyond your looks. PSL, thank you, Wyden. That's what I was thinking of. How are you so calm when debating Andrew? You know why? You want to know my secret when I was debating Andrew? It's because I knew I was already in the right. I knew I came there with more arguments, better arguments than him. I knew he didn't have a leg to stand on. He was going to try to pivot on semantics or pivot on these other things. And I knew if I held my ground on the debate, I was going to win. So I had no issue. And that guy was sweating and, you know, that the way he laughs and is just like slumped over. He's a joke of a man. If attracting was objective, like they thought, preference literally wouldn't exist. Exactly. Every woman would go after the exact same man, and that isn't the case at all. Like for example, my wife doesn't think Ryan Reynolds is attractive. A lot of women do. Attraction is not objective. Now Oscar Isaac is more my wife's type, which maybe it worked in my favor. Genuine question. How'd you get on whatever podcast within like a month of starting your dating podcast? Inferno, that's a great question, dude. That is a great question. I I trolled Brian Atlas. That's all I did. I saw one of his episodes and I said, "Damn, the girls on your podcast today really owned you." And he said, "Are you a male feminist?" And I said, "Sure." And he said, "Okay, do you want to come on and debate Andrew?" I said, "Yeah." And so that's how it happened. It happened very quickly. And I'm glad it did. But yeah, it happened very fast. Does hypergamy exist? No. Let me take that back. Hypergamy does exist, but it's economically based. If a woman doesn't have access to resources, like they did for the most of eternity, and in some countries still don't have access to the resources that American women do, they do look for resources when they're marrying and dating, etc. But when women have their own resources, their own agency, their own ability, they choose people based on other factors that are not resource based. Some women still do, but most women now are dating men who earn as much or earn less or aren't as educated. Hypergamy is a red pill belief that basically women are biologically programmed to date up, and they only date up. They never date sideways or down, but that isn't the case. And I have proven that over and over again. How do you feel about men who try and keep on failing? I feel like I was that guy. I was that guy for a long time. You know, I had to find my stride. I didn't get. I can't tell you how many times I was rejected. I've asked so many women out in my life. I got rejected, and you just keep going. You just keep going. I think there's things you can only focus on yourself, and you try to build on the things that you feel make you more attractive or make you better, and focus on your confidence. If you focus on your confidence, you are gonna have so much more success. And I think trying and failing is a part of life. There aren't many people who just get what they want when they go for it. Most people have to keep trying and find a way through it. Do you think Andrew has any convincing points that you might have had to think about twice? Yes. I will be fair in this regard. When I went into debate Andrew about Red Pill, he asked me the question that to me, I still kind of changed my entire practice around. Is he said, well, if Red Pill hurts men, what's the alternative? And I didn't have an answer. So I had to develop that answer, which is why I wrote a book behind me. That's why I developed some sort of philosophy that I wanted to present to men that I think would help men not only build confidence but also date, and but isn't as toxic as Red Pill or isn't as ideological as Red Pill. Thinking about going to a 403 because I'm still an incel at 20 years old, extremely insecure, can't change. What's a 403? Oh, like a prostitute? Um, I mean, dude, I have nothing against that. I'm being straight up. Like, I think there's nothing wrong with that. In fact, a lot of SMEX workers will talk about that. That's a lot of the clientele. I think there's nothing wrong with that. But I don't believe that there's nothing that you can do that can't change. I think anyone who is insecure can develop confidence. I guarantee you can. I have been insecure. I have not had confidence, and I've learned how to get there. So I think it's possible. I teach men how to do it. It's a lot of work. I don't have easy answers for a lot of the men that come to me. The red pill gives men easy answers, or the black pill gives men even easier answers. The black pill's like, look better or nothing. And so guys bone smash, or they take meth, or they take peptides, or they take testosterone. I try to teach men how to build confidence from the inside out, not outside in. Um, I didn't know that about Warren Beatty. Interesting. Original men's rights groups were a brother movement to feminism about shedding the expectations. What expectations, though, Jody? I'm curious about that. And I think feminism were fighting for rights of like voting, working, going to school, getting into high-paying jobs, etc. Men's rights, from my understanding, they're trying more for like parental rights, which I think is okay. I think it's good that men fight for parental rights. However, I do see that in most cases, men don't fight. And when they do fight for parental rights, they get them most of the time. So I don't really know. I'm done with being gaslit about how facial structure doesn't matter. It absolutely does. Well, I'm tired of being gaslit by guys who don't have the dating experience that I do. You know, like I have a lot more dating experience than a lot of men. And I can tell you that looks are not the end all be all. Every guy, if they clean up and do everything they possibly can to look as good as they can, beyond surgery, beyond bone smashing, beyond taking meth, just literally working out, skincare routine, hygiene, getting good style, doing the normal things that I outline in my book, Everything else is going to be based on your personality, your humor, your confidence, your ambition. All of those things will get you women. I have dated successfully for most of my life. I had to figure it out, but I dated successfully for most of my life, and it's because I figured out how to do it. And it had nothing to do with my looks. And again, if somebody only dates me because of my looks, I'm not interested, because my looks could go tomorrow. I had an incel on Reddit judge my eyes, nose, and crooked teeth and label me as a three. That's crazy, dude. What does he know? What does he know? And is he trying to sleep with you? I mean, what is he? And plus, looks aren't everything. If I posted my photo on the internet, I promise you, like, my wife probably would have never looked at me. My wife, I met her in real life. And my conversation with her is what got her attracted to me. It wasn't that she noticed me and was like, oh, this guy's really attractive. Let me date him. Like, that's why I don't like dating apps. I hate dating apps because you're only focused on the way somebody looks. And I hate that. I hate that so much. Um, that's modern MRA's misogyny pit, the first movement by that name. I'm not too familiar with the first movement, Jody. If you could tell me about that, if you feel like it, I'm curious. Will you debate Myron Gaines? Absolutely. I ask him almost every day. The guy's avoiding me. He doesn't debate people, guys. When's the last time you saw him have a one-on-one debate with anybody? I think Destiny was the last time, and it was at some event like a long time ago. He doesn't do one-on-one debates because he's scared. He's a terrible debater. I confronted him in person. I confronted him online. I'm going to the University of California at Riverside, and I'm going to basically try to confront him again and say, hey, why are you ducking me? Do I think certain races of men have it harder than other races? Yes, I think statistically that is the truth. Um, when was the Brandon Tatum interview? I'm curious about that. No, he sucks at debating. He sucks. He's terrible, and he resorts to calling people, names whenever he can, because it's just he's a shock jock. What about getting back with the long term relationship that ended badly and you share a child? How can you do this? Well, do you want the relationship? Have you guys changed? Have you learned what it is that made the relationship toxic? Have you worked on yourself? Have you talked to them? I feel like because there's a child involved, there is some sort of reason to get back together, but you don't want to get back together with somebody that's just going to end the same way. We all judge within 10 milliseconds and choose whether to continue talking to them or not. No, you don't, dude. No, you don't. You have no idea what you're talking about. Nobody does that. In fact, I can tell you, women will tell you, and women have told me that they don't necessarily initially say, yes, I want this guy. It takes, women get attracted differently. Women read their corn, men look at it. Women can be turned on by a million other things. It's not just the way people look, dude. Like, you're coping. Why would I ask a man for dating advice? You don't have to. I'm normally helping men. If you don't think I'm worth asking advice for, that's fine. I'm not going to try to convince you. October of last year. Okay. So it's been a minute, and I don't remember that debate, but again, I'm normally listening to him for dating stuff. Typically, I'm not political, at least not on this channel. Main problem is Andrew used logic in the debate. You didn't like that. You even said fuck the logic. Yeah. Do you want to know why I said fuck the logic? Because I'm not gonna logic my way into say why a man who has a child should raise that child. There's no logic involved. Fuck the logic. It has nothing to do with logic. But you're a dick rider, so you're gonna love whatever he says anyway. A woman can be attracted to a guy at first, and once they talk, it can change. Thank you, Ash. That's a great point. Women can say you're talking about this 10 milliseconds. They look at a guy, and then he opens his mouth, and then the attraction's gone. So it has nothing to do with that. 17. I have 8 bodies. I only dated one of them. Rest were flings right now. I have one girl not in college neither. Damn, dude. Everyone quote cares about looks, but it's just one thing to care about, and it's not the only thing. Thank you. 17, man. 17. You're cleaning up for 17, dude. Damn. Um, okay, attractive, dude. Yes, you are doing something wrong. I promise you're doing something wrong because there are people probably less attractive than you that get that pull. So yes, I do believe you're doing something wrong. Um, He's 6 months out of an engagement and we've been dating since Jan. He just blocked his ex today. I must have missed something there, Loom. Uh, Jack, if you're still there on Instagram, what do you think would be the main reasons guys face negative consequences from approaching women? I would say they don't approach with respect and they don't take rejection well. That's it. If you do both of those things, any outcome is out of your hands. And men are not constantly facing negative consequences for trying to talk to women. They aren't. If anything, they're getting hurt feelings because sometimes women can be shitty about it. I will admit that, but that's up to you how you take that. You can't take that personally. Also, there are girls out there that might like a guy away, but still not be interested. Exactly. Exactly. Looks are not everything for women. I'm trying to tell these guys this. For young women who don't know any better, yeah, they're just like, you're young. You just do whatever. But as you mature, you realize what matters to you. And looks are not everything. I can promise you that. A quadriplegic just got arrested for, wow, I don't even know about that. Oh, wait, I think I did hear a little bit about that. But yeah, dude had a girlfriend. What would you say to someone if they feel like they have it harder in dating because of their race? I would say you can't change that. You can't change your race and you can't change other people's preferences. Focus on what you can focus on. Again, there are women. I'm not a lot of women's type either, and women would tell me that when I was younger. It didn't change anything. It didn't change how I felt about myself. Um, like you really just push through it. Would it be weird to use an old car on a date? No, dude. When I was young, I had an '86 Toyota Camry. '86 brown Toyota Camry, busted with a CD player. I still dated girls, dude. I mean, it it's just is not that it's not that serious. Quick contention to your point. Clavicular has hundreds of women throw themselves at him. Explain. Yeah, young 19, 20-year-old women at clubs do that shit. That has always been the case. That has always been the case. Those women are going to grow up and they're mature and clavicular. Let me know when clavicular is in a long-term relationship. If you're just looking to hook up, man, then yeah, go ahead, go to the club, look as best as you can, spend money, do all the bullshit, buy bottle service, because clavicular is also buying bottle service. You want to pay $6,000 for a table? Go for it. That can draw gold diggers. If you want to draw gold diggers and women looking for clout, then yeah, you can do that all day, man. But if that's not what you're looking for, then don't use them as an example for your life. So wait for leftovers is your point. Being somebody's last choice. Do you want to marry somebody at 19? Do you want to marry somebody at 20? Do you want to marry somebody at 21? When would you like to be in a long-term relationship, Arnav? Because I guarantee you it shouldn't be around those years. Yes, everyone around those years is not looking for the long-term partner. They're making stupid decisions. I make stupid decisions. We all make stupid decisions when we're 19 and 20. I don't feel like I had anybody's leftovers. That's your own shit you're dealing with. Girls admitted to me they give out phone numbers to men to not hurt their feelings. Yes, that happens all the time. Women do it because they're also scared of dealing with a guy's rejection. Because if guys took rejection well, they would never have had to feel like doing that. Not for a moment. If guys were always like, hey, no problem, have a good night, women would never have to feel that way. But they don't want to deal with the repercussions of guys that say nasty things or yell or call them names and shit like that. They don't want to deal with that. So then they end up just saying, well, this is the easiest way. I give them my phone number, he gets out of my face. Well, I don't know what to tell you, man. Maybe it's your confidence, dude, because there's a number of reasons. I can't diagnose you just by your your text. You aren't really giving us another option when these red pill guys are doing well for themselves. Name a red pill guy that's doing well for themselves. Clavicular's not red pill, by the way. He would never say he's red pill. Name a red pill guy that's doing well for himself. Is Myron doing well for himself? No. Would you want to be like Rolo Tomasi? No. What red pill guys are doing well for themselves? Are you talking about rich guys? Yeah, rich guys have always done well. So what? If you're not rich, are you just gonna give up? That's crazy. You guys have this weak ass mentality. Do you think men should have discernment on who they take on a date? Absolutely. You should be absolutely discerning. You should be just as picky as a woman. Anyone that follows Clav, Andrew Dan Bazillion for dating advice is weak. Work on yourself. Thank you, Shano. I totally agree. I don't know about that one. if you're a pure dude, you shouldn't deal with leftovers. What are leftovers? Are you only trying to date virgins? What's a leftover? Is anybody who's had sex in their life a leftover to you? Then yeah, good luck. You're gonna have leftovers. You're not gonna be everyone's first. Yeah, Clavicular says he's autistic. Yeah, man. Yeah, dude. You want to go ahead. You want to go ahead and attract gold diggers and attract. Clive has also said on stream that the only reason these women hang out with him is because he has a popular stream. He has said that in a moment of honesty and kind of sadness. If that's what you want, then yes, go be a popular, rich 6'2" streamer. Go do it. If that's the life you want, stop listening to my stream and go do that. Because if you want to attract gold diggers and clout chasers, then yeah, follow Clavicular's model. Follow Dan Blazarian's model. Follow Andrew Tate's model. Follow Myron Gaines' model. Myron Gaines goes on sugar baby websites so he can attract women. If that's what you want to do, then go for it, man. Spend your money on gold diggers. But that's not what I teach men to do. Okay, I like you then. I think some leftist dating coaches preach taking every woman to dinner. No. And I also don't necessarily preach going to dinner. I personally think a coffee date is just fine. You don't know these people. They don't know you. I'm not telling you to go invest a ton of money on somebody that you don't know. They could be dating other people. You could be dating other people. Why would you spend all this money on a dinner? I took my wife to dinner when I met her because we were coworkers. It's a bit different, but it paid off. I mean, so but yeah, you grab a coffee and go on a walk. And if a girl has a problem with that, then don't date her. Like that's not somebody that you should date. Somebody who's like, oh, he didn't take me. Like I don't know you. I don't know you. I don't owe you a dinner. I don't owe you drinks. I don't owe you any of this. We are going to get to know each other, and we're going to see if the vibe is right. And if the vibe is right, I'll happily take you to dinner. But if not, whatever. Is Clavicular actually that popular? He's always trying to steal the girls in Miami. He's pretty popular. I mean, I think he's got over 1 million followers at this point. Um, so yeah, I think he's pretty popular. Yeah, I think coffee and a walk is like a great first date. Yeah, drink is a good first date too. My mo when I was living in Austin, Texas, and I was dating in my heyday, I had a happy hour spot that did $5 old fashions. Great old fashions. And so I would take girls to this happy hour spot on a weekday on a date, and I would walk out 20 bucks lighter, and that's it. And we would have two drinks, have a good day, and I did that over and over again. I went to the same place because it was just like, why am I trying to break I'm not going to break what's not broken. Um, Hold on, let me get to an Instagram comment. If all rights are there, why do you think women are communicative as they say they are? You call and text, but they put 50% of the effort in. If they want equal effort, they give out their numbers, but it was the woman's idea. I typed that wrong. Hold up. Yeah, I'm not sure what you mean. I think the texting game is very nuanced. I give detailed instructions on how I think men should text in my book, but at the end of the day, you get a girl's phone number. The first text you send should accomplish a lot of goals, and it should be like, nice to meet you, here's what I'm thinking, let's go here on this date if you're free, and that's it. And then wait for her to respond. If she doesn't respond, then you have your answer. Casey Zander, the dating coach. I'm not sure who that is. I haven't heard about him. What are your thoughts on him? I don't know who that is. Is going to museums or historical sites good for a first day? Is it too much? I think it could be a good first day. I think museums are a good first day, especially if the person's interested in what you're going to. But yeah, I think as long as you're able to walk and talk, I think it's important. Conversation is an important part of it. You can't just go to a movie on a first date. That you don't get a vibe, you don't get anything. You're just kind of staring at a screen. Um, I think for drinks on a first date, it can still raise safety concerns, especially for women. It depends. I mean, again, I went on a lot of drinking dates, but here's the thing: I would have you consider is that not all women want to drink. A lot of women don't drink. My wife doesn't drink, for example. Um, Texting should just be setting up the date. Texting exactly. Thank you, Rob. That's exactly it. The first text should be, "Nice meeting you tonight. If you're free, I'd like to take you here this weekend." And you list the place, you list the idea, or I like to take you to this coffee shop and go on a walk at this park, and you say that, and that's it. And if she texts you back, great. If she doesn't, then you have your answer. Some of his stuff contradicts itself sometimes. I'll have to check him out. I'll have to see who that is. I don't always keep up with the dating coaches. There's some good dating coaches out there, though. I will say there's good ones for sure. I mean, if you allow me to guess, I'd like to explain my PV on this topic. Yeah, man, go ahead. Here, I see you there. Let me get you in here.
All right, first of all, I want to, your content's very good. I like it.
Oh, thanks, man.
Something of breath of fresh air. But as someone who is currently in college, sees this like IRL 24/7,
Yeah.
I'm on the older side because I did some, military service. So what I really see is like it's always the dudes who treat women shittily, but like against what you're saying, always have been attracted to the women. So what is your point to like, go against that, saying that hey, that these guys are doing something wrong? And majority of adults either find their long-term partner either online, which was done in a study. I can link you to the study if you'd like, or in college. So what advice do you have for, let's say, someone who is in college, that's seeing all these things like, hey, what's going on? What's like, like basically seeing whatever you're saying to do does not work for them. But they're doing what the people who are actually attracting women in long-term relationships are doing the opposite of what you're doing or what you're saying to do. How can you say to them saying that no, my way is right?
Are you talking about college people right now, right?
College and on like college and post college. Like I'm saying like 22, specifically 22 to 27-year olds.
Yeah. So you're basically saying that the women that you see getting in a relationship in college, they're all dating guys who are doing the opposite of what I'm saying.
Yeah, like they're frat boys having fun partying, you know, like they're talking like shit about women and stuff like that. So what advice do you have for someone who sees that and saying that hey, what they're doing is wrong?
Let me ask you this. Do you want to date somebody that wants a guy to treat them like that?
Honestly, no. But at the same time, it's like you're putting in so much effort, and someone who's putting half the effort is just getting the results. You're like, what the shit am I doing wrong? What am I doing wrong?
That's what every guy's experience in college. If you're not one of the frat guys or you're not one of the jocks in college, that is everyone's experience. That women, when they're young, are attracted to that kind of thing.
So, so you're saying that I'm not saying the women are like leftovers or anything. That was just like general saying. But what I'm saying is, so you're telling me like I should build myself up and then do all this for someone who wouldn't even look at me when I was nothing.
No, because
That's what
you
you're.
just said you didn't want to date those people.
But
So
I'm saying that. What I'm
what I'm
trying to say
saying is
that to
that
you
you
is
should build
that
yourself up anyway. You should
I
develop
understand
yourself
that.
to the
But what I'm
confidence and
saying
then
is that
find the
you're
kind of
basically.
women
I don't know.
that
Have you seen a video recently where the woman said, the I date a nerd lady?
oh, I did see that.
Have,
Yeah.
yeah. So what advice do you have for her husband who sees that video where she in the comments did say she does miss sex with the guy with dirty socks and stuff? But imagine being her husband seeing that. What advice do you have
Did
for
she say she missed
guys
it? I
like
don't remember her
him?
saying she missed it. I think she said
You know,
I
she did. She
used
said it
to.
in the comments and deleted the video. You can go through the people. She had a lot of screenshots about it.
Okay.
So, what advice do you have for guys like him who are focusing in college, grinding, and then at the end of the day, like they don't know, like not everybody's honest about their past. So, what do you have advice for people like that who are grinding 24/7 and see stuff like that? And divorce is not cheap nowadays. Like with the laws how they're come with that, and he's obviously a higher income earner. So stuff like that. What advice do you have for something like that? Is that hey, you build yourself up for someone who wouldn't give you the time of day before?
It's not about doing the time of day before. I dated plenty of women in college that weren't dating jocks or dating frat guys. It depends on who you're going for. There are lots of women in college that I'm sure aren't interested in the frat guys, but maybe that's all you're focused on. And that is the concern I have for a lot of men is you guys seem to be focused on a certain type of woman who dates the guys that treat them like crap. I would not be attracted to a woman that gets treated like crap because you get the love you deserve. And if you feel like a guy being a jerk to you is attractive, then I'm not interested in that. I'm not interested in a woman who wants to be treated like crap. I wouldn't date somebody like that. I don't
But
think
wouldn't
you
you?
want to date somebody like that. So there are
Wouldn't
women in college, in your college right now, that have no interest in that kind of behavior. There are also young, I don't judge the actions of 20 and 19-year-olds as how they're going to be for their whole life. So when you do stuff when you're 19 and 20 that are stupid, it comes with you. It goes with you. Like you grow up and you mature and you make better decisions and you have better discernment. And so there's no reason for example, when I was that age, I was hooking up with people. My wife's not worried about the people I was hooking up with. She doesn't feel like I'm. Why would does she feel like she got leftovers from me? I don't understand this mentality. I don't understand this idea that it's like just because you have a past, you're leftovers. That's not.
I agree with that idea, but like there is like it could be like a sexuality gap, and some stuff. I don't want to go into semantics about what happens later on in relationships, but my whole point is saying that when your advice that I see your videos, I think that you're coming from someone who. How old are you? Can I ask how old are you?
I'm
Just question.
42.
40. So your advice is coming from a different
It's
generation.
not. I was in the dating apps, dude. I was on Hinge. I was
I
on Bumble. I
understand
was.
that,
It's not a
but
different generation. It's not. I was
okay,
doing all
but
the dating app stuff. I dated a
when
23-year-old when I was
let
28. I'm not in a
let's look at
different
when Tinder
generation.
first came out.
Okay.
What I'm saying is, when you were 28, right? When Tinder and stuff first came out, right?
hmm
You were already. Did you have a job back then? I don't want to judge you. Like, were you having a job? You were already established, right?
I wouldn't. I was living in a two-bedroom apartment that was shitty. So no, I would not
But you
say
had
I had.
a
I
job and
had
everything.
what? I was making like
Yeah,
six.
I
I was
mean,
making like 60 grand a year. Is that super
that's
established?
pretty good for depending on your area back then. I mean, now it's not that good.
That's what I'm
But
saying. It has nothing. And women didn't know how much money I made. They came to my shitty apartment and they probably judged me for my shitty apartment, but I still was attractive enough that they still continued to date me. And it's not because of my looks. Again, I would never date somebody because they only found me attractive for my looks. Women didn't know how much money I made. I never told a woman how much money I made.
okay,
Not
and then
once. I was
specifically
driving a Mazda 2, dude. It wasn't even a cool car. Like,
hey, don't judge Maz. Maz are
I'm
awesome.
not
Those
saying
are
I like my Mazda. I'm not a snob like that. I had to drive a Honda CRV. I could afford a better car, but I like my
hmm
car. I'm a practical guy. And if a girl was like, I don't want a guy who drives a Honda, I'm not interested in a girl that's a gold digger. So like I none of that stuff had anything to do with, how established I was. I promise it had nothing to do with that. And it's not because I'm
so
dating out of a different generation. In fact, if anything, women nowadays are more willing to date a guy who earns less than them than they were back in 10 years ago.
so specifically speaking, what advice would you have for someone who is so like I want your opinion on that whole date of the nerd. Have you seen that video? I want your whole opinion on that whole video.
Okay,
That was my second
yeah,
question.
if you want to move on to that, yes, we can focus
Yeah,
on that.
I understand. You gave me really good advice in the first part. Now I want to go more established where you the whole data nerd. Like, what advice would you give that man today to either help him get over it or tell him to divorce his wife? What would you tell him to do?
I would say first you have to be discerning about who you get with, like who you date. Like I would never date anybody that had any sort of fantasizations of how they were promiscuous in the past. Like that to me is a red flag. Like I'm not saying you could be promiscuous, but like to have like reminiscence about it or to have some sort of rose-colored glasses about it, that's a huge red flag for me. I don't know if that ever came up in their relationship at all. But to think back, I do agree with her in terms of like, don't marry the jerk, marry the decent guy. I wholeheartedly think women should do that. And, but in terms of how he should deal with it now, I mean, that's up to them. I think that's going to be an honest, like, hard conversation that comes up. If it never came up, then I don't know. Maybe he didn't ask enough questions. I don't know. I don't know how long they were together before. I don't know how long they waited till they got married. I don't know what age they were when they got married. But it's the same thing with like what's his name, Akash's wife, like all that stuff that she was doing. I mean, that would enrage me. Like that's horrible to talk like that about your partner or your husband. If my wife got on the camera and said some shit like that, we would have a big honest talk and I would, question our relationship 100%. I don't think there's anything wrong with questioning the relationship after someone's reminiscing about other dudes publicly on the internet. Like that's
Hmm.
crazy. To me, it's like there's not true love there. Maybe she sees him as a relationship of convenience versus a true, partner or a true love of their life, which I think that's the kind of relationship most men want. So I don't know if maybe he wasn't as discerning. I don't know the entire story behind them, but I personally think that there were probably some signs that she maybe was not as into him as he was into her. And I would never tell a guy to date somebody or especially marry somebody who is not as crazy about them as they are about her.
And this is my last question for you. This is like more on the women's side. specifically a lot of advice women get online from like people like Shira7 and other women is that find a guy that likes you more than you like them. What is your advice for a guy who, you know, how to discern that woman about how to discern that a woman would be like that? And specifically, like how would you navigate around, would you say that it is true? Or would you say more that you are equally as against that advice to women as you are the whole red pill stuff to men?
So here's what I would say. I cannot control the advice Shira Seven is given to women. But I can help the men who want to develop the self confidence and the self respect to never be in a relationship where a woman is after your resources or is obviously not as yoked in the relationship as you are. And you can tell that. You can tell if a woman doesn't do anything that shows you affection or shows you love or shows you something like that. Like one of the first things my wife did that made me realize that she liked me was I think we'd gone on like 3 dates. And one day she DM'd me a playlist on Spotify and I clicked it and it was a playlist of a lot of the songs and a lot of the things that I had mentioned about our, songs I liked or whatever. And because I was joking, I was like, I like this song so much I want to play it at my funeral, like something like that. So she made a list. She called it Raphael's Funeral. And it was a bunch of songs that I had listed. And I was like, this woman paid attention. She went out of her way to make this little silly thing, but it was like a sign to me that she was into me. And I think any guy with self-respect and discernment will realize that you deserve the love that you feel like you should get. And if you have self-respect, you can pick up on that. Because if you feel like you're being disrespected, then you're going to say, this isn't right for me and I'm not going to stick around. I'm not going to tolerate this. I'm not going to be in a relationship where I'm putting more in than you are. And so I would tell men, don't worry about what Shira Seven is saying. Unless you're interested in dating a gold digger, don't listen. Who cares what she's saying? Focus on your own self respect. Focus on what it is that's going to make you confident and worry about your opinion of yourself more than you worry about anyone else's opinion of yourself.
All right, you pretty much answered all my questions. I gotta go. Gotta go to sleep. Thanks, man.
Hey, thanks, Arnav.
What's up, brother?
Hey, what's up, Af? Give me 1 second. Let me answer a question. Hang on tight. By the way, why do women say that they're... Wait. This guy answered it. Do you understand pair bonding? The more sex that a woman have, the less emotional attachment she will have. Most divorce happens because her wife had a lot of sexual experience. That is complete nonsense. First off, pair bonding goes both ways, and you can look up any study that will show that. It's not just a woman thing. That's insane. And if you look up the reason most women get divorced, it has nothing to do with their sexual experience. You should look up the top reasons women get divorced before you say something stupid like that. Okay, AI photo, what's up?
Yeah, man. So once again, I just want to start off by saying I'm not trying to be negative. I'm just trying to be a realist here because a lot of the stuff you're preaching, I used to believe it 100%. So do you know who Trip Kramer is? He's big on YouTube. Trip Advice. You ever heard of that guy?
I don't think so. I don't think I know who he is. Let me see if I can look him up real quick. But go.
Yeah,
go ahead.
so he's a pretty famous like dating coach. He teaches a lot of the same stuff you do, and yeah, the part of his whole program was teaching guys who are average looking dudes, maybe even nerdy looking dudes, that it's all about your confidence, your presentation, your charisma, etc.
Mm-hmm.
So I studied with one of his coaches. I learned kind of all those kind of tricks, and a lot of it worked as far as getting me the phone number. But several times I'd get a phone number and it didn't matter what I said or what I did after that point. It would be a ghost. So in my mind, I always thought, okay, it must be something I'm doing wrong. So I would scour the internet. What can I say? What do I not say? Is it a science? Until one day I started asking these women, I'm like, do you guys just give phone numbers out just to give them out? And they gave me two reasons. One of them was, we don't like to hurt guys' feelings. Number two was it's for self-preservation. Guys might flip out and attack us. One woman told me she just likes that I had the guts to approach her, but she doesn't want to reciprocate anything because she was never physically attracted. So that was when I realized that, okay, there must be something deeper than this. And that's why I became black-pilled, because over the years, I started putting myself out there, and women would literally just rip apart every single facial flaw that was on my face. Despite them telling me I had a great personality and humor, they said, they would just rip me apart hundreds of times. Not because of anything I did, but just because. And that's what taught me that the first impression is extremely important. Everything you're saying is important, but if you don't get that first impression down, which is visual, most of the time, not always, but most of the time, it's meaningless. So I would just wanted to get your opinion on that.
Sure. So you were getting phone numbers, but you were getting ghosted, and then on top of that, you switched to black pill, and now women are criticizing your looks.
No, no, they were criticizing my looks before that.
Oh, okay.
It's just what I was being taught, and I'm in therapy, by the way. So,
Oh, nice.
my therapist was trying to, help me understand, um, hey, don't think about it that way. Confidence comes from within. But I even think that's kind of cope because I think confidence is really just repeated good treatment from a young age. That is how confidence is reinforced, and
I
it's
wholeheartedly
reinforced by your
disagree. I
genetics.
disagree
Yeah.
100%. Confidence absolutely comes from within. Confidence can only come from you. If you get confidence externally, it's not real confidence. If you get confidence externally, what happens when that gets taken away? What happens if somebody all of a sudden says something negative about you? That's going to kill your confidence. Like, confidence is 100% from within. It is no question that it comes from within. Can validation and other things boost your confidence? Yes. But if it doesn't come from within, it's not real confidence. I can guarantee you that. My entire book, which is 56 pages for the record, or like 60 pages, is about building confidence from the ground up. It's about learning how to trust yourself. It's about learning how to take care of yourself. It's about learning that your opinion of yourself matters above everyone else's. And when you can get to that point, you say, fuck everybody else. If you don't like me, eat shit. Like, you just, when you learn how to have that kind of confidence and carry it with the kindness that I tell men to have, like, confidence is not braggadocious. It's not in any way arrogance. It's absolute. It's like quiet. Confidence is quiet. It's the way you walk. It's the way you talk. It's the way you have a conversation. It's the way you don't take anything personally. It's the way you don't get into little silly arguments because who cares? Like, let the person think whatever they think. You don't need to convince everyone you're right. You just go about your life. And I guarantee you, I've looked about this way. Obviously, I'm 42 now. When I was younger, I probably looked a lot better. And I guarantee you, once I even when I looked good, girls will reject me. It wasn't until I learned confidence. It wasn't until I got to the point where I was like, the outcome of this conversation has no bearing on how I feel about myself. Was that when I started to just click, and I was getting. I mean, I've dated consistently since then, so I am a big believer in confidence, and I'm a huge believer in it coming from 100% from yourself and not from anywhere else.
Yeah, so I agree with you to an extent. I think you can develop it because, in the period before I got blackpilled, like obviously, like I told you, I was, insulted for many years before that. But, studying with this guy, he taught me how to kind of push that in the back of my brain and kind of just focus on the moment. And he was like, don't think, just do. That was kind of the thing he taught me. And that's all helpful information. But yeah, I'm not trying to be like helpless or anything. I'm just saying I think we have a culture that is kind of anti self improvement to the highest degree. And so when we're talking about getting surgeries, we're talking about looks maxing, we're not doing it merely just to please others. It is a psychological thing. Like when you look at yourself in the mirror and you're just not impressed with what you see, I don't see anything wrong with spending money to improve that. If it improves your quality of life and teaches you how to love yourself again, I don't see any problem with that.
But here's the thing I'm trying to tell you. I don't necessarily see a problem with that either. If you're balding, you go to Turkey to get your hair transplant. I got no issue with that. I encourage that. I encourage men to do the thing. I don't think you should be getting limb lengthening surgery. I don't think you should be bone smashing. I don't think you should be taking drugs that will hurt you in the long run. For example, clavicular has erectile dysfunction at 20 years old, dude.
Right. Yeah,
Is that what
he's
you want?
nuts.
I don't think anybody
I'm
wants
not a
that.
fan of him.
So that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
He's taking it to the exact. He's the looks maxing, pinnacle at the moment. He's the guy that everyone's looking to in that regard, and he has so many internal issues that I don't think he's. I don't think he's gonna make it to like 45. If I'm being honest, I just don't think he
I
himself is going to make it that long because of how much he's done to his body, how much he's done to himself. So to me, there's absolutely a limit to it, and I don't think he has true confidence. I don't think he has it. I think he's awkward as hell. I think women are chasing him for his clout and his money and that kind of thing. And he's even admitted how lonely that makes him feel. Like it's
Right.
insane. So what I'm saying is that if you're doing whatever you can to look your best, I'm okay with it to beyond the extremes. I absolutely in my book I recommend all the things I recommend men do, including, you know, cleaning up your skin, working out. But you're already doing something else I recommend a lot of people do, which is if you go to the physical gym, which is, you know, working out or whatever, going to the mental gym, which is reading books, going to therapy, doing things like that, so you can really fully understand yourself inside and out. Understand the things that made you you from a child. Understand what traumas or rejections you faced growing up that made you feel the way you do, and address those things from the inside out. And that is the stuff that Clav and the Black Pill guys will never teach you to do. So even if you do everything in your power to look as best as you can, if you don't have the confidence that comes with it, it's not going to matter. You might get
And
short
that's
term sex. Like, yeah, short term sex can happen. But again, like, short term to me is like, it's to me, short term sex isn't even the hard part. Like, short term relationships, you don't have to have a great personality to make that happen. But if I'm more focused on men finding the long term relationships that I think most men end up wanting. I think a lot of men don't know how to get the short term, which is why they focus on that. But Clav, you think he's gonna be a good boyfriend? He's a terrible person to his partners. Like,
right.
like, would you want your sister dating Clav? I wouldn't.
No, not at all. Not at all.
So I think at the end of the day, it's like, what kind of person do you want to be? And finding the right person is going to be the person that sees you and says, I like you for who you are. And I don't want a woman to date me for money or for my looks or anything like that. Because what if my looks goes away? What if my money goes away? Then she goes away. But if
True.
I'm true to my character, if I'm true to who I am, and she likes who I am as a person, it's going to be much harder to want to be somewhere else because they like me. And that's the only time I've ever wanted to date people, is if you like me for me, because this is who I am. I develop myself. I constantly develop myself. I continuously work on my self improvement. My wife and I have been together, 9 years. We've been married for 4, and I'm still trying to be a better husband because I don't ever want to settle for who I am today. And I even said this in my vows. I don't want to settle for the man I am today. I will continue to work to be the best husband for you I possibly can be. And that's what I mean. I mean that because I want to be a good person for myself, and I want to be a good partner. And I think that comes from
That's
within.
beautiful, man. That's beautiful. What you said is incredible. I totally agree with it. And I think the way I resonate the most with it is that I feel like I have so much to offer, so much to give. And it's funny because women who I've had conversation with girls like over like the voice,
Mm-hmm.
right? But not them seeing me. And it's very interesting because those conversations can go on for hours. And they've told me, you have so much to give. You're a great person. You have so many skills. You have empathy, but it's just that humans can't help that first impression, right? And so I'm not saying it's over for anybody or we need to take it extreme as Clav. I'm just saying that I feel like it would help the red pill community to focus on both of those things, but also know that your value intrinsically comes from being a human. In my opinion, being made in the image of God. That's the ultimate value.
I agree.
But our value to other humans sometimes can be subjective, and that's where we have to work at it.
Yeah.
Right.
My main
But I
problem with
resonate with
black
what you
pill
said.
and red pill is that they focus very superficially. That's the
Right.
issue I have with both of them. Is like, that's great, and I think it's because a lot of men are just focused on like sex, and that's where I like a lot of these guys. I think their focus is. I mean, if you look at the guys who teach red pill and black pill, most of them aren't in long term relationships. Most of them aren't in loving relationships. And to me, it's like, okay, if you just want to be a pickup artist, then go read PUA stuff and follow that and go for that. But if you want a long term relationship, if you want a happy relationship, a lifetime with somebody is one of the hardest things to maintain. That's why, 42% of first marriages end in divorce, because it's fucking tough. And then subsequent divorce marriages end in higher rates of divorce because it's tough to keep people around and happy, both parties. So to me, it's like, if you really want to have the long, fulfilling companionship and maybe raise a good family, it's going to have to come from within. It's going to come from beyond the superficial stuff. And
Right.
and I think that's the thing, that's the issue I have with a lot of these creators and a lot of this philosophy. I also, in my book, talk about improving your appearance. I talk about working out, because all of that stuff is attractive. And it also boosts your confidence, because the more, like, I'll tell you, anytime I don't go to the gym, or I don't go on a bike ride, or I don't do anything for my health, I feel like shit. And it's not because I'm worried that my wife's gonna think I look worse. It's because I personally just don't feel as like solid as a person as I want to be. Like And if I slack off on like working on myself, I feel bad about myself, and it's because all of those things boost my confidence because it makes me feel like I'm doing what I'm supposed to do and I'm doing everything in my power to become the kind of man I want to be. And I think that's what a lot of these creators are missing is they basically, to me, are just focused on how to get laid. And I'm not the guy to teach people that. As much as a successful promiscuous past I had, I still don't want to teach men that because I'd rather teach men how to find fulfilling relationships from within and also with a partner.
Right on, man. Hey, beautiful conversation, man. I think we're on the same page here for the most part. I'm sorry if I came across a little contentious in the
Dude, and me
comments.
too, honestly, dude. I'm contentious because I get a lot of guys who are contentious
Yeah.
with me, and I'm ready to like scrap. So that's on me too. But dude, yeah, no, hey
Mhm.
man, I really appreciate this conversation, dude. You should at least try to download the free chapters I have in my bio, dude. Like, there's 4 chapters you can check out and just see if it resonates with you in any way.
Yeah, man, I'll check it out. Thanks for your time, dude. You have a wonderful night.
Hey, you too, man. Let me get to a couple comments. I've been missing some of these. Um, Tough as hell. Yeah, relationships are tough as hell. The hardest thing we ever do. Yeah, man, I appreciate a good call. I just appreciate it. I get how hard it is out there. Like, that's why I do this, is because I understand that if I was a young man and I didn't know what to do, and I had YouTube and I was stuck in my house during COVID and I didn't know what to do, I would be on YouTube watching Andrew Tate and watching Clavicular and watching Myron Gaines and watching these things. And I would absolutely have gone for it because these guys seem to know, these guys seem to get the things that I want and I don't know how to get them. So, that's why I have so much empathy for the men who are out there trying to figure it out. I just think, unfortunately, the algorithm pushes the guys that are the worst for them, unfortunately. It's common that low quality and attractive men are in relationships. It's called settling in marriage. Women innate sexual strategy change when they hit certain ages in their lives. Okay, so you're quoting Rollo Tomasi. Let me ask you something, alt-right MGTOW. By the way, this guy's name is alt-right MGTOW. That tells you everything you know about his mindset. MGTOW is men going their own way, which is part of the, basically manosphere. Let me ask you something. Is Rollo Tomasi married? And if he's married, does that make him this settled guy that he claims that is so horrible? Let me get Andrew in here. Would I recommend a 20-year-old dating a 30-year-old? No. I think that's a bit too much of a drastic change. Hey, what's up, Andrew?
Hey, how's it going?
I'm doing all right, man. What's up with you?
I'm doing pretty good. Um, I don't really know what to talk about. I feel like we talked about it already.
I mean, how's your dating life going?
It's been the same. Actually, interestingly enough, I was actually strategically thinking about um, going to clubs. Um, so I get and just more of a spiritual aspect to my life. Um, but as far as that goes, I think that's pretty much it.
You trying to
Pretty
go
much.
to what? A club?
Well, I was strategically thinking about about going to clubs, and then I was thinking about my spiritual life, um, and that's pretty much about it.
What kind
I
of
think,
clubs? Like, you're talking about nightclubs?
yes, nightclubs.
I mean, nightclubs are not where I'd say, is the best place to meet women.
Hmm.
I think all you're doing there is you're not having a real conversation. You're definitely not showing your personality or your humor. You're basically going there to say, this is what I look like. This is kind of what I dance like. This is kind of what I dress like. And are you into it? And everyone's, inebriated.
Hmm.
I just don't think
I don't
that's
know.
necessarily the best place to meet women for long term. If you're looking for short term, hey, that's a place to find it for sure. But I personally don't know of any kind of woman I would personally want to have a long term relationship that goes to clubs.
Mm. I guess to piggyback on that, um, do you think that because of that, like people tend to judge about your appearance, what they see, like harshly, or like forever or initially. Because for me, I tend like one of my strategies is park my car in front of the club and stand next to it. Talk to girls, and just kind of go from there. For me, I've done that before. So it's for me, it's kind of like 9:30 p.m. to like 2 a.m. For me, I tend to get at least one something. Um, but yeah, that's for me. It's interesting, but
I mean, I think
haven't.
that's an interesting strategy. I've never heard of that. I mean, you don't have to pay the cover. You don't have to buy drinks.
Right,
You kind of get to like talk to the women after they've already been partying.
right.
It's an interesting strategy for short term. Again, oh, hold on, my thing is moving. It's an
Mhm.
interesting strategy for short term, but again, if you're looking for long term, that's not the place to go.
Mm.
I'd be shocked if you meet somebody, because here's the thing, like it's like that
Mhm.
thing where it's like if you meet a woman at the club, uh, she's probably gonna go to the club again, and is that what
Right,
you want your girl to do? Not me
right,
personally.
right. That's true. Yeah, I mean, statistically, it's really, really high. In all the years that I've been clubbing, I mean, I would say it's like, I don't know, like 1 out of 10 who just go that one time. I mean, I've met that 1 out of 10 girl, but yeah, I would definitely um think about that too for me.
Yeah. I think I think the best place to meet somebody for long term is going to be somebody who already shares some of your interests, some of your values. I do think men need to go out more. I mean, if you're at a coffee shop, if you have hobbies, if you're in like different types of clubs, like a running club or a book
Mhm.
club or whatever, there are other ways where I think you can meet people. Um, yeah. Oh, she met somebody at the club. I mean, hey, it can happen. I'm not saying it can't happen. I just think
Yeah, yeah.
statistically it's low. I met girls at the club too, and the one girl that ever cheated on me was a girl I met at the club. So I mean,
Oh,
do with that
damn.
what you will.
I see.
So yeah, I don't recommend it. Yeah.
I guess I'm kind of lazy. Like I know for me strategically, I think I said it too. Like there's this one coffee shop in downtown I know of. There's this one Starbucks I know of in like over the bridge in my city. I know the times to go there. I know there's like typically like nines or tens to go there. I don't know. Guess I'm just kind of lazy. I've just been a little lazy lately. Like I know the market, like SMV, but I don't know. I just haven't been doing it really. I haven't done that in years, to be honest.
I think it's about your intention. Like I think if you had the intention for short term, go to clubs. If you had the intention for long term, you can't be lazy.
Can't be
It
lazy.
takes a lot of effort. It takes a lot of work, and it takes a lot of personal effort too, in my opinion. And relationships are not easy, not for a moment. There's not one person on earth. I think, relatively, my wife and I have an easy relationship. She's very low maintenance. I'm very low maintenance. We get along. We love each other. We take care of each other. But we still have to make it work. We work hard to make it work still. So there's no one that's going to tell you that a relationship's easy. Like there's nobody. It's tough. It's super tough.
I guess nothing easy is worthwhile.
Not that I found. I've yet to find something that's easy, that's worthwhile. I mean, think about it like this: do you play games or video games or anything like that?
No, no. I mean, I haven't done it in years.
Yeah. Do you have any hobbies or anything like that?
I mean, rock climbing, gym, working out.
Yeah. Like, do you feel like rock climbing? Do you feel like if the rock climbing was super easy, you'd enjoy doing it?
No,
We like the
no.
challenge. We like to be challenged. Like for example, I was gonna use a video game example because I like playing like Marvel Rivals or something like that. Like, and if I won every game and it was easy, I'd probably stop playing. Like it's just not fun. We like the challenge. We like to work at it. Anything that's like good in life takes a little bit of tension and friction and pressure.
Yeah, you're right. That motivates me more, to be honest.
It motivates everybody. If life is easy, which is I think unfortunately something that I think a lot of us experience. Like we have a lot of things easy, and so a lot of us are like struggling to find like that tension or that thing.
Right.
And I think when it's like Maslow hierarchy of needs. Like if you have everything taken care of, you're looking for like something on the higher level. And so I think it's the same thing with like rock climbing and whatnot. Like I remember I went to a rock climbing gym and I did everything in the first day, and it was my first time climbing, and I was like, I'm bored. I'm not coming to this gym anymore.
Mm.
So yeah, I think
Yeah.
relationships are not for the lazy for sure.
Hmm. Man, I gotta wake up early tomorrow morning if that's the case. Ah, shit.
Oh, that's funny.
Ah,
All right, man. Well, hey, thanks for checking in, Andrews. You know, try to figure out what it is you want, man. That's the most important thing. When you figure out what it is you want, then you can go on to pick a path to do that thing.
all right, cool.
All right, man. Hey, let me know how the club goes.
I will. All right.
All right.
You're catching up.
Hey, what's up, Zach?
How's it going?
What's on your mind?
So my girlfriend broke up with me over text on Monday.
Shit, dude.
Yeah, so in my opinion, it's over things that are very fixable and just like I haven't been perfect in the relationship, but we'll able to work things out still and have a conversation. But she's blocked me on all socials. And then I'm meeting Saturday to go exchange things with her. Just based on everything, like right now, like is it worth like trying to have that conversation?
Sorry, what conversation?
Trying to understand like her perspective and everything like that. Because I text her that, and that's where she was like, "My decision's kind of like final, like no more talking."
Here's how I would say. How long were you guys together?
7 months, and just like I feel like over text is kind of like immature in a way. Just because I mean, there is a little bit of an age gap. She's a little bit older than me, but still like even at my age, like I that's kind of like cheesy, or immature.
Yeah, breaking over text is super immature, and especially for someone older than the other person, that's kind of wild. Here's what I'll say: like, if you understand why it happened, what would that do for you?
Uh, I guess like I don't know the reasons, but that's just kind of like me having this space and self-reflecting. It's like again, just seems like little things that could easily be talked about and fixed.
I think if somebody is already like to the point where they don't even want to like have the conversation, like they're like my mind's made up. I don't feel like there's anything fixable. Like it's not like it's because you cheated, or it's not like because
Right.
you were abusive, or it's not like because she had told you a million times about something that she wanted you to do and you just kept ignoring her. None of those
Yeah.
things seem to be the case.
Okay.
There's a million reasons why what did she say when she sent the text? I don't know if I lost you, Zach. You still there, dude?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. Yep.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I was reading the text.
Oh yeah, yeah, for some reason if you get out of the thing, yeah,
Oh shit.
I
Okay.
just realized that.
Basically, it was like I could see how like the dynamic of our relationship is going. I don't think it's healthy for either of us.
What was the dynamic of the relationship?
Exactly my questions. Like that's why I wanted to have the conversation
Before
because she
Monday,
was.
what happened before Monday? Was there anything in particular?
I mean, like it was her birthday weekend, and so like there's little things that like I could tell like frustrated her. Um, like petty things, like the bar was closing. She asked me to get green tea shots for me, her, and like two of her friends who were out, and then the bar was closing. They were packing up, so it's like I'll pivot to tequila shots, just make it easy for them. Whatever. She likes tequila, and then she kind of like spoke down to me a disrespectful tone of like, "Hey, like I asked for green tea shots. Is this like Walls tequila?" And like for me, like I regulate my emotions just by like taking a deep breath and like not escalating a situation. And then Sunday, her actual birthday, I put together the Blackstone Grill I got for her birthday, and she was gonna make dinner for us, but ended up not working out. The propane tank wasn't working. I spent a lot of time just trying to put that together, and we were both frustrated. Like I was frustrated laying her down, and then she was frustrated because she was like, "Oh, we're gonna have like just regular food for dinner, stuff like that."
I don't know, man. There's a lot I'm hearing about her that I don't like. Um,
Okay.
like you're putting in effort, and even if it's not exactly what she wanted, a good partner would at least recognize that.
Yeah.
Um, it and you so right now your goal is to try to find out what it is that caused a relationship to end. But for me, it sounds like, I mean, why do you want to still be in the relationship?
She is a good person deep down, at least like minus a couple like arguments we've had, or like for example, this one weekend was like a bad weekend, right? And like I don't expect anything to be perfect all the time. Uh, we went to church together a lot. Like I felt myself getting closer to God and wanting to be a better person with her, and that's key for me. And just wanting to be a better person in general.
I mean, from my perspective, again, we've only been talking for 6 minutes, but from my perspective, she to me she seems pretty immature. One, to break up with somebody over text, even 7 months. While it's not a lifetime, that's like that's the better part of a year. So
Yeah.
to me, it's like breaking up over text is completely immature. Getting mad that she didn't get the exact shot that she wanted on her birthday, like that to me sounds immature. Her being upset that something wasn't working, even though you spent all like a good amount of effort trying to fix it, and she got upset about that. There's a lot of things that I think maybe should have sound. Did those sound alarms for you at all, like in your head when those things were happening?
A little bit. Like when we were both frustrated, Sunday night when like couldn't get the Blackstone going. She was like kind of frustrated. We were both frustrated, right? And um, I just told her, "Yo, I don't appreciate the disrespectful tone. I spent all day here, and like I feel bad because I let you down." And then like she took a minute, kind of like composed herself, and said, "I can see like um, put myself in your shoes. I see your effort."
But she still felt like the relationship was, I'm not going to say quote unquote toxic, but she said it was what? It
Yeah,
was like going in the wrong
the
direction.
dynamic was going the wrong way or something.
And were there any other signs before this that you thought she might do something like this?
Uh, we were kind of like rocky the past like couple weeks too. Like a few weeks ago, we were in the same situation, but we were able to talk it out.
I mean, again, we've only been talking shortly, but from my perspective, it sounds like she has a lot of immaturity.
Mhm.
Um, but my main concern at this point is I want you to make sure that you have the self respect and self confidence to, carry you not only through this, but to also not feel the need to even have to justify why this relationship ended. Like there doesn't need to be a justification. Like if somebody doesn't want you in their life anymore, like you should say, you know what, you're crazy. That's a crazy thing to just break up with somebody over. And everything I'm saying is very much easier said than done. Don't get me
Right.
wrong.
Yeah.
But it's the idea that it's like I didn't do anything wrong. I treated you well, and if you're not into me, that's on you, and it's not on me. And I think if you can have that feeling, you won't even need to have some sort of like debrief or like a post mortem on the relationship. Yeah, to me, it's like I want somebody that wants to be with me, that appreciates the effort I put in, that it wants to be treated well. I don't want to be with somebody that wants toxicity or wants to be treated like shit. Like I'm not interested in being
Yeah.
with somebody like that. So to me, it's like I I don't know why you would want to even talk to her again in a lot of ways. Like I personally feel like you said she blocked you on social media.
Yeah.
Gee, that's insane to me.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think she did you a big favor because I was gonna say just like completely go no contact, no go cold turkey.
Just
Because
go get my shit and get out of there.
you guys live together?
No, we just have stuff at each other's places. So Saturday, we're gonna exchange stuff.
Yeah. Do you? Oh, you guys already set a date to do it?
Yeah, like after she said like no more, we're not talking. I was like, okay, like I get it. Like, can I get my stuff? Like, set up a date to go. So it's just been like logistics at that point.
Yeah. Well, I would make that completely a transactional day on Saturday. To me, it would
Okay.
just be like, hey, have a good life, and then move on. Because I wouldn't try to mend it. I wouldn't try to get any sort of clarity. I would walk in with your head held high, and I would, just you. This is a time for you to focus on yourself, your own
Mhm.
self reflection. I don't think it's a reflection from her perspective. Reflect on your own experience with her, and reflect on how you want to be treated in the future, and reflect on what kind of person you want to date in the future. Because to me, there's a lot of red flags I've seen in just some of the things you've said from her, and you know, to me, this is the time to really like double down on yourself and like your own self respect. Like
Yeah.
I would do a lot of the things I outline. I'm not trying to push my book, but I'm saying a lot of things I outline in my book, like focus on your physical health, focus on your mental health, focus on doing the things that you've always wanted to do. Focus on doing things that maybe the relationship took time away from. Focus on being with your friends. Focus on what it is that you like about yourself and finding the things that you want to continue to grow in. And I'm telling you, if you walk in there on Saturday and you just give her a very polite hello, you grab the stuff, you say, I wish you the best, and leave. I guarantee you that will feel better than anything else you would do in terms of trying to talk to her about it, trying to even change her mind about it, doing anything like that. It won't do you any favors but if you do it this other way where it's like it's very transactional, I have no hard feelings. I'm moving on. I have enough self-respect and self-confidence that if you don't want to be with me, I certainly don't want to be with you. And I
Yeah.
think if you can have that sense of feeling, you're going to absolutely feel better about yourself and it's going to boost your confidence because she's not going to determine, she shouldn't be able to determine how you feel about yourself. And no other partner should. And again, everything I'm saying is easier said than done. I have been heartbroken.
Yeah.
I have been broken up with and wondered why. But I'm telling you this as somebody who has done the other parts. Like I've been where you are, and I'm trying to help you skip the pain that comes along with it when you don't need to go through it.
Yeah. Makes sense.
So yeah, man, I highly recommend you try your best to not focus on her and why it happened, but focus on you and how you want a better partner in the future.
Okay.
I'm
Awesome.
sorry you're going through this, buddy.
Oh, you're good.
It's tough, man. Anytime you go through a breakup, you wonder why, you wonder what it means about you. I mean, I did all of that. I've done all of that. I've done it. I've been there. So I totally empathize with you. But if you spend time picking at the wound, it won't heal.
True. Awesome. Well, thank you. I appreciate the
Hey,
advice
thank
and
you, man. Hang in
perspective.
there, and let me, if you come back in next week, let me know how Saturday went.
Okay, sounds good.
Good luck to you, brother.
I appreciate it.
All right. Hey, what's up,
Hello.
Halo? Give me 1 second. Hang on, one tight. Let me answer to somebody on Instagram real quick. Girl refuses coffee date. What is next move? How did she refuse it? And like, what did she say? She's like, I don't do coffee dates. Let me know what that says. Let me know what. Give me more details. I'll try to answer. All right. What's up, Halo?
Um, yeah, hi. So I kind of just need your perspective
Sure.
on my situation. Okay, so I've been dating this guy for a year, um, and we have a fairly like healthy relationship, not too much problems. We have very great communication, um, similar morals and values and things like that. Um, we're both in our late 20s. He's actually turning 30 this year in a few months. But I'm having a hard time trusting him. I do have a betrayal trauma,
Mm.
but at the same time, I've noticed some shady things on his end. Um, and I'm just trying to understand whether it is a betrayal trauma thing or if I'm overlooking some red flags that I should be paying attention to because the rest of our relationship is pretty great.
Okay. Tell me about two things. One, and you don't have to go into detail if you don't want to, but tell me about the trauma that you faced. Like, you can go very superficially, and then tell me
Gotcha.
what shady details you're seeing.
Okay. So the betrayal trauma actually happened when I was much younger. So um, I was, I think, 17 when I got into the relationship, left by the age of 20. Um, I didn't really date after that, honestly. Just focused on my career, personal growth, and everything. I talked to men in between, but that's about it. The betrayal trauma, just a lot of cheating, gaslighting, manipulation, and all that stuff. With him now, he's very secretive about his phone. He gets fidgety almost when I don't know how to explain it. So one example I could give you is if we're watching a movie, and I get up to the restroom for a moment, he'll be on his phone, but as soon as I walk out, like he like nervously puts it aside. Um, he doesn't really want me to see like his screen when I'm around him. There's just like a phone face down, which I told him that kind of triggers me. And he says like, okay, like if that's an issue for y'all, just keep it up. Um, but things like that, like I don't know if this is like a huge deal. I don't know if it's a privacy thing or if there's more to it.
And so when you told him this makes me uncomfortable, did you tell him why? Like, do you have a past about it?
Yeah, no, I told him about the trauma that I've had once we started to build trust. I'm very protective of my past just because I feel like some people can use that against you. So I noticed that like this is getting serious and I should open up and kind of let him know. And I did let him know. Like I think one of the signs that I missed in the past was that like my ex would always put his, phone upside down.
Mm.
So I picked up on that quickly in this new relationship, and I did voice that. It wasn't like fighting or whatever. It was just one of those, hey, like, I noticed this. Is there a reason why you do it? And he said it's actually pretty subconscious, and he doesn't realize that he's doing that, and that he'll try to like put it face up if whatever. And there are times where he puts his phone face down, but once we had that communication, I think it's almost subconscious. But it's more so the putting his phone aside right away as soon as I'm around. Like I said, the movie example, like if I go to the restroom and come out. Like, I don't know, it's just strange. Or if I'm like, when we wake up in the morning, as soon as I wake up, he shuts his phone right away. Like, it's just a little strange. Like, it flags something in my nervous system that I don't quite recognize what it is. Like, I don't know how to explain it. Sorry.
I know what you mean. How did you guys meet?
We met on a dating app.
Are you concerned that he's still on dating apps?
I don't think so, no.
What do you think he's doing on his phone then?
That's the thing. Like, I genuinely don't know. Like, I thought maybe it is corn stuff.
That crossed my mind, but it's like wild that like you'd be so addicted to it that you would do it like in the few minutes that someone steps away to the restroom. And you did mention that everything else in the relationship, there are no other red flags that you see.
Not really, no. He's very consistent, like, great communication, like I said. Like, we definitely have tough conversations, but we don't really fight. Like, we communicate about tough stuff. Um, I really like him. Like, I think it's a great relationship outside of this one thing that I'm just like, this something is up. Like, I don't know what it is. And I need to know whether this is a past trauma that's being triggered or I'm actually missing something that I should be paying attention to.
So I know you've told him about your past. Um, have you just straight up said it may, I know you, and you also said it makes me uncomfortable that you do this, but have you just been kind of really upfront and saying, is there anything I should be worried about that you're doing on your phone that you feel this way, that you have to
Oh
act
yeah,
this way?
absolutely. No, yeah. I asked him like, is there, it does make me uncomfortable. I'm not like, because I don't want to accuse him of anything. I don't have any proof of anything, but I really try to frame it in a way that I'm picking up something that I want to understand more of. And he said there's nothing. And um, it's just that it's like a habit. He said he probably, and sometimes he said, I don't even recognize I'm doing that sometimes, which is kind of like, I don't know what that would be, but
This is tough. Um, this is tough because I feel like you're either gonna have to trust him at this point, or and I think this, and I don't know. Yeah, that Nicole asked the exact question. It's like I don't know, um, what, how comfortable you'd be like if you said, "Look, I trust you. I do believe, that you love me or whatever. This is you're in this relationship, but." I don't think it's wrong to say and not do it sneakily. And if you do it behind his back, I think that's a use of mistrust. But I think if you say, I would feel comfortable if you showed me what it is that you're looking at whenever I'm not in the room. Like that would make me feel at ease because I'm nervous about it because of my trauma, and I would love to understand what it is that you're looking at when I'm not in the room. Um,
gotcha.
and I think asking him that and see how he responds, and do it from a obviously not you sound like a very nice person. You don't sound like you're gonna accuse him of anything. But if you come at it with I think this tone that you have even in this conversation, I can't imagine somebody who's being honest would say any like if my wife when we were dating had that kind of issue because I know she had some bad relationships in the past and if I could do something that would ease her mind I would do it. I wouldn't be defensive about it because I love her and I'd want to make her feel better. But as Ameliorate this said, let me scroll up because I just saw it. I just want to have him help you work through and heal from the trauma. That's exactly what I think. If somebody was really into you, that's what they would probably do if you came to them with that genuine question of, hey, can help me through this because I care about you but I also want to like not go crazy worrying about this because of my past. That's one approach. Um, the other thing that I think you have to do beyond the conversations with him is are you doing anything on your end like therapy or reading to try to work on that trauma as well?
Okay, yeah, that's great. And I think, yeah, definitely I'll do that. We need to definitely have that conversation. I just don't want to make it his burden. Like, I definitely took my time to heal and everything. So, even though this is the first serious relationship after my betrayal, I definitely think I did the work. You know, I went to therapy for like 5 years of the 7 years that I was single. Um, you definitely like read books. And I continue to work on myself. I understand that like healing is a journey, and um, I also understand that certain things are probably gonna get triggered because I'm put in the same situation again. I'm in a relationship again. So I'm definitely like working on myself in that aspect.
Great.
And like I said, our relationship is pretty great. Like I think it's very healthy. It's just this one part that I'm just like, am I missing something? You know, um, because everything else was great. Am I overlooking things that I don't know? Sometimes we do that. So just want to make sure that I don't wake up in a year or two and find out something that he has been doing for a while. Like just because I want to suppress it now,
Yeah, I think you guys have been together. You said a year, right?
a year.
That's long enough to, I think, have these kind of real, like, deeper conversations. You know, like if you're looking at a long future together, this kind of stuff has to, be able to be. You have to be able to talk to your partner about this kind of stuff. Um, if you foresee longer, future progress down the road. Again, like my wife had trauma from her ex, and there were probably things I did that would send her into this kind of fight or flight mode, and I didn't realize that because she didn't share it with me. And eventually, when she shared it with me, I would try to be aware of that. And because again, I think somebody who's caring is not going to in any way try to hide anything or anything. My wife knows the password to my phone. My wife constantly unlocks my phone because she take a picture of our animals or something. Like I have nothing to hide. But I wouldn't get defensive about it. I would only get defensive about it if I was trying to hide something personally. But that's me. Different people react differently. Some people are very big about their privacy, which that can be valid as well. But I do think it's okay to have these kind of honest conversations. Again, if you approach it from an honest, vulnerable place, I think that's better than any sort of accusatory place. And honestly, his reaction I think will tell you a lot about how he feels about you, where he is in his own mental journey.
Okay, that's great. What should I look for in terms of when I have this communication? What would be considered, I guess, defensiveness, or just want to make sure that I'm not gonna miss anything?
I personally think if somebody is like immediately kind of recoils, also, if he tries to maybe turn it on you. Like I
Mm,
think that's the thing that I would. He might ask a question, to get a more understanding. But I think if someone tries to turn it on you and take the attention off of like what he might be doing or whatever, that to me is a sign that someone's trying to really like fight back in a way that's more suspicious to me.
okay.
Like if it was me and I cared about somebody, um, and somebody said, you make me nervous because you do this. I'm worried you're doing this, and I really care. Like my wife came to me and said, again, she has access to my phone. It just doesn't really matter. But let's pretend she didn't, and it was like, I'm nervous that this is happening. My ex did this, and it really makes me nervous. I'm the kind of person that would be like, if I can ease your mind by just showing you, I will do that. Like, it's done. Now we can continue to have a happy relationship. And I hope I earned your trust. Um, but based on what you know about him, how do you think he'll react?
Like I said, our communication is pretty good, so I feel like you'd be open to discuss it, but at the same time, I'm kind of afraid that he might see it as like an accusation. Then, you know, I don't know how to frame it.
Yeah. Well, I
Yeah.
mean, I think here's the thing. Like, if he's defensive because it feels like an accusation, that I can understand a bit more. Like, I
Okay.
can understand if I'm accused of something, I probably will immediately jump defensive. Like, that's kind of, I
Okay.
think, a normal human reaction.
Reaction.
But I think in a
Mm-hmm.
vulnerable conversation where you're not accusing of anything, you're making it more about how you feel. That to me is like, that to me is a more emotionally mature place to approach it from. And you know, if it's like you're doing this, that makes somebody defensive. But if it's like I feel like this is happening and it's really bothering me, that puts people less on the defensive.
Okay, I agree with that. Okay, I'll definitely approach it in a way where, like you said, this is how I feel and just want to like get some understanding. I don't really think he would be defensive. Again, he's not very aggressive. We're both very just um the same type of personality. So I know that, he would be open to understanding me. But yeah, this is good to know. I just didn't want to jump into any conclusion and
Yeah,
be like,
no,
oh,
and
he's
yeah.
secretive with his phone and he must be cheating or something.
Yeah, I mean, does he
Yeah.
seem like the kind of guy that would cheat? I mean, it's hard to ask because I mean, sometimes everyone can be surprised, but I mean, like in your
Yeah,
gut,
I I don't think so just because he has pretty strong morals. And the other thing is he was actually his first serious relationship.
mm,
So he was uh a virgin when we got together. He's pretty introverted and I only had one relationship before him. And that's what also connected us just because we're both kind of inexperienced in that way. And my one relationship that I had wasn't really a fruitful one. So it's like he's truly my first healthy relationship. So just knowing his character and he waited this long,
yeah,
he just genuinely wants, a long-term relationship. Like I was dating for a bit in that 7 years, and a lot of men were giving me on the first date this vibe of I just want something momentary type of thing. But I could tell right away, like the first date, that he wants something serious, and that's why I pursued it. And he's been pretty consistent. Like I said, I don't see any other issue. This is the only thing.
yeah. Well, then I think your gut is probably in the right place. I think, I think on the best case of this, like maybe he really is just very respectful of like not wanting to be on the phone when you're in the room.
Mhm.
Like I think my wife would want me to be more like that in some ways. But
Oh, he has actually mentioned that as well. He said that I put it away, um, or I get fidgety or something because I want to be respectful of with the phone, turning the phone as well. He said I don't want notification to come up when I'm spending time with you, type of thing, and I appreciate that. He's very intentional in that way.
yeah,
So
I think
yeah.
that is to me a reasonable thing, and I think that shows a lot of intention. Again, if that's what he's doing it for, that to me is like actually a really green flag. Because me, I have ADHD, and notifications gonna like get my attention every time. Like, and
Yeah, me
I
too.
know it drives my wife crazy, but that to me is like again what I would say is like maybe he's doing it completely out of respect. It doesn't sound like you think he's the type to cheat or to be texting another woman or be on the dating apps or anything like that. So I think your gut is right in a lot of ways, but I think it's okay to have a honest conversation about it. I think it's okay to put your cards on the table. Relationships, especially long lasting, healthy relationships, vulnerability is a must.
I got it. Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense, and definitely will approach it in the way that we discussed. And thank you so much for having me here. I don't want to take too much of your time,
No, thank you for
but
calling.
yeah, I really appreciate your help, and I'll be listening to other people here. It's always nice
Thank you,
to get.
Halo.
Thank you
Well,
so much.
if you want to join back next week or whenever, I'd love to hear if you have an update.
Will do. Thank you.
All right. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Hey, what's up, Bruno?
Hey, what's up, Raphael? How's it going?
Doing all right, man. What's on your mind?
Um, I have a red pill belief that I'm trying to get rid of, but it's kind of hard for me to.
I get it, man. What's up?
Have you ever? I don't know if this is a phrase that started with the red pill or whatever, but I'm gonna like kind of stay in the red pill term because I don't really believe it's. I mean, let's be honest. Every red pill belief is goes back to like just blaming women for everything.
Pretty
If
much,
you
yeah.
think about it, but it's a term that I've always kind of it's hard for me not to unbelieve.
Sure, I get
Basically,
it,
it's
dude.
like um, women don't give a shit about you until after you've reached the finish line, and it's something where it's like I don't believe that's with like women in general. I believe that's with people in general. No matter if you're a man, woman, non-binary, whatever. It's just a belief that I struggle to like not believe. If that makes sense.
What finish line?
I don't know. That's the thing.
Mm.
It could be just a finish line of like being more interesting, making more money, being more charismatic, just being comfortable with yourself, like whatever that finish line is for somebody.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, if the finish line is you're an established, wealthy person, then I definitely don't believe that for a second. I dated when I was broke. I drove an 86 Camry. I had a Mazda 2. I've dated in every aspect of my life, rich, poor, um, established, unestablished, settled, unsettled. To me, people can meet you where you're at. If the finish line is you are a kind of complete version of yourself, and again, there's no like finish line there either. I have worked for a lifetime to improve myself, mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, and I'm still not done. There is no finish line, as far as I'm concerned. But what I'll say is that if you can get to a point where you have self respect, that to me is the only finish line that really matters, in my opinion, in attraction. And if you get to that point where it's like, I like myself so much that I don't need your approval, that is worth every that is so valuable in terms of attraction. That to me is the finish line that I want all the guys I talk to get to, is where you like yourself so much that you don't really worry about the opinions of other people. That's the only finish line I'm interested in.
Yeah, I get you. Um, I guess for my point is like someone that does struggle with social anxiety,
Hmm.
it's like you kind of just want to be comfortable in the moment, and that's like the goal, right? And like anxiety is something that just doesn't go away. It's always a battle you're always gonna have to face.
Yeah.
And I feel like there's times if like, man, if I'm never gonna like there's times where it's like I know like it's a never ending battle, but if I'm never like able to completely control it, um, I feel like that I'll never be able to like, accomplish what I want to accomplish, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. Can you, when it comes to social anxiety, like what is it that you feel like when you're around people, around women, that kind of thing?
Probably like a combination of a lot of things. Just like me not being able to like stand up straight, me not being able to hold like being able to continue with the small talk, a variation of a lot of things, like me not speaking loud enough in general. Um, those are some things that I've always struggled with. And when you struggle with those things, it kind of like eventually wears on your self esteem a lot, and it's hard to like understanding like what to do and like how to get over it. I guess if you get my drift.
I absolutely get your drift, man. That makes a lot of sense. I do think even the way you stand, I think the way you talk, all that stuff really does signal, some sort of thing about yourself. So I know exactly what you're saying. Um, I Are you worried about how others perceive you in those moments?
Um, Probably in those moments, yes. After like a while, after like all dust settles, you kind of like, oh, you kind of come to your own terms, like, oh, who gives a shit? But obviously, in the moment, your head's going a million miles an hour.
Yes. I think there's a lot of things I recommend in my book around this, but have you ever tried an improv class?
Yeah, I've done improv with like friends, but not like a whole class or like a really like a whole workshop, I guess you would say.
I don't know. I'm gonna die on this hill. I think it's one of the best things that like people can do to learn how to be completely present in the moment. Because and it takes time to get to that point, because the first time you go up there and have to do a scene, you're thinking, you're like, what do I say? What do I do? And eventually you learn not to do that. And you learn to just be in the moment and let the scene kind of happen and be kind of in a flow state of like just being who you are without worrying about what to say next. It's going to come out, it's going to happen. And I think that to me has helped me a ton. One, if you have the self confidence, and two, you learn how to be present in those moments, you're not going to be thinking about what to say. You're just going to be there, and you're going to let the moment kind of tell you what to do. And I know that's kind of like woo woo or something, but like there's something about letting yourself be in the moment without being worried about the outcome. And you could still be aware that you're in a what might feel like a high stakes situation, like internally your insides might be screaming. There's a lot of fight or flight going on. But I think when you can get to a point where you no longer are worried about saying the wrong thing or a gap in what to say. Like, here's what I'll say. One of the things about gaps in conversations is questions are the best way to get out of that. Being curious is one of the best tools you can to have a good conversation, because at the end of the day, like, people are going to remember how they felt after the conversation they had with you, and often asking interesting questions about that person is going to make them feel like they had a good conversation with you. And so curiosity, I think, is one of the best tools you can have in social situations. Just be curious about why somebody feels the way they do, why they like the interest they do. How did they get to the point where they got here? What made them move here? Why did they choose this place? Why did they go to school at that place? Curiosity is going to help you move the conversation forward, because you're really trying to understand them. And if you're trying to get deeper, you're not just asking a lot of the superficial stuff. You're really asking them questions because you're genuinely curious about getting to know them. That is going to completely, I think, especially if you just meet somebody, there's a myriad questions you can ask somebody who to get to know them in a curious level that are beyond like, what do you do for a living, And even if you start with what do you do for a living, get into why did you pick that career, or did you consider any other careers? And I'm just making this up on the spot because I'm not worried about saying the right thing at the moment, like these things. I think when you can be completely confident in yourself, and you can also, again, not be worried about the outcome and just worry about how can I get this person to keep talking so I can get to know them, then things will start firing, and you'll be in that kind of present moment. I don't, there's definitely social anxiety is a real thing. My wife has had it. I think she's gotten better over the years, but it's definitely something that people struggle with. You're definitely not alone in that regard. But I also think, if you can get to a place of self-respect and confidence, your posture and the way you carry yourself, it won't change based on your social situations. Like you'll just want to be present, and you want to be fully who you are and be like, I deserve to be here, I get to be here, this is the space I'm gonna take up because I'm a human being too, and I get to be here just like y'all. And I think when you can get to that place, the way you carry yourself is going to also in itself be attractive. I've been told, just my presence was attractive at one point, because it's just like you're standing there tall, you're standing there confidently, you're just like, you're happy with who you are, and you like yourself. And people like people who like themselves, not arrogance, but like people who genuinely like themselves, like, and appreciate themselves.
Yeah. I guess my question more so to piggyback on that, it's like, how do you take away your ego from making mistakes, if that makes sense? It's really hard for me not to.
Great
to like
question.
I don't know how to like exactly how to like actually go about that a lot of times.
That is such a great question, and it's one that I think people often don't solve, but I think it is an important one to get through. First, get rid of your ego. I mean, it's easier said than done, but your ego is just like in your way, honestly. Like, ego stops you from trying new things. Ego stops you from trying to, maybe even looking like a fool. Like a truly confident person does not care if they look like a fool. They just do it. Guys who are confident and go out and dance, even though if they're not good dancers, people still kind of like look at them with some sort of like affection, or some sort of like this person is just out there letting it loose, and they don't care how they look. If that person was egotistical, they would never do that because they'd be worried about how they're being perceived. And if the ego suffers suffers damage or suffers some sort of trauma, it can be really devastating to a lot of people. But if you can get over that fear, I'm trying to think if there's a book I read. Hang on, give me 1 second. Ego. What's the guy's name?
Is that right? Ego is the Enemy by
You
Ryan
got
Holiday.
it. You got it. Have you read that?
Yeah. I think I read the audiobook, but that book's been out for a while and I don't remember. I remember the Jackie Robinson part, but I don't remember too much of the rest.
You know, I'm gonna be honest with you. I feel like that book, I don't remember the specifics, but it was one of the books that helped me completely get over my ego. Um, I mean, I like a lot of Ryan Holiday books, if I'm being honest. Like, he taught me a lot about stoicism. He taught me a lot about, only focusing on what's within your control and things like that. I think maybe take another glance at that book because I think if you can get your ego to just get out of the way, you will open yourself up to so many more possibilities, including parts of yourself that you might not have ever let yourself really explore.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I think that's what it is. Like fear is one of the it's one of the worst things we put ourselves through. Because most of the things that we fear don't ever come to fruition. And additionally, you can expect something terrible to happen when you do something, but at the end of the day, like, often it's not as bad as you imagine it's going to be. And so if you can learn, one of the chapters in my book about building confidence is facing your fears head on. And I think if you can completely learn to face your fears and get over them, that builds your confidence as well. And it also kind of kills your ego in a lot of ways. The example I've given a million times on this is, like, I used to be completely afraid of roller coasters, but my wife really likes theme parks and I didn't like her. Let me type in here. I didn't like going on roller coasters, but I didn't want my wife to go on them alone, like I'm just sitting there on the bench while she goes on rides, that's corny. And so I was like, I want to, like, get over this fear. And the only way to do that is to just do it, and I just kept doing it and doing it and doing it. I learned little techniques that made it easier for me. And I learned breathing techniques. Like, for anyone who's afraid of roller coasters, inhale on the up, exhale on the down. It makes it so much easier. But I learned how to do that. Now I don't even have to do that. But I'm so proud. I became so proud of myself for getting over that fear. And that is something that I learned, is that the more fears you get over, the more proud of yourself you're going to be. And also you'll realize that, like, your fears are not they shouldn't determine your entire life. And I think the more fears you face, the more willing you're to face another one, which could be social situations. I'm at the point now, and I don't think I was always at this point, but I'm at the point where I will go up to anybody. I'll go up to talk to anybody. I just don't have any sort of hesitation because, again, I have good intentions. I have something I want to say. And, my wife and I, we go to LA all the time. I'll go up to a celebrity and just say something to them. Like, I have no hesitation whatsoever. I'm just not afraid. And often it's just like, because they're just people. They're just normal people. They're not any quote unquote better than anybody. They're just somebody who a lot of people know. And it's like, it's okay to just go up and talk to them. And often it's gone over well. So, I think facing your fears over and over and over again, I think, will make you realize that your fears don't have to determine your life.
Yep, I definitely get that.
But yeah, man, I totally hear you, dude. But I think if we can get you to get to a place where your opinion of yourself is the only one that actually matters, I mean, that is the most freeing, egotistical thing, unegotistical thing I could think of. And I know it sounds like it's ego, but it's really not. It's more like, I accept myself, I like myself, I care about myself, and that matters more than how other people perceive me. And that carries me through life. Honestly, that is like that's like the fuel I use to go through my life. Because if I'm trying to live for other people, I'm going to be going this way, that way, this way, that way. And I've done that before. I moved around a lot when I was a kid, because my dad was in the Air Force. and I would try to fit in every little community I was in. I remember when I lived in Charleston, South Carolina, I was the only like Latino kid in my school, and so I was like skateboarding and listening to Nirvana and shit. Like that's not who I was, but I like tried to be something I wasn't. And anytime I tried to do those things, it never worked. I never quite fit in. I never got that approval that I was like looking for. Um, it wasn't until I was like, you know what I like, and I'm okay with what I like. I like the way I dress. I'm going to dress how I like. I'm going to act like I like, and that has carried me the rest of my life. So, I feel like that's just kind of my end all be all. I don't know if you've checked out the free chapters of my book, dude, but um, I would check it out because I wrote the book for people just like you. Like to learn how to completely find the confidence from within yourself, to not have to rely on other people's opinions, and to also like love yourself, because if you're going to be in a happy relationship, you have to love both of the people in it, and that includes you.
Yeah, I definitely get you.
But fighting the red pill is tough, dude. Like it is a tough thing. I applaud you for even trying to do it, dude. So good for you. If it's not working for you, if it's not giving you the life you want, then yeah, it's definitely time to question some of those things.
Yeah, I like a lot of the red pill. It's like it's so unserious, and it's kind of like just hilarious at this point. It's hilarious. I mean, I understand it's definitely like problematic, but like a lot of times it's just so unserious at this point. Um, I guess my main issue with it was like I guess there really was no alternative, especially what 15 years ago or whatever when this stuff was coming out. There really was no like I mean, I guess like it's kind of like there's this expectation for you to like life experience is supposed to like help you learn, but that's not always the case, especially for people that are like very introverted and stuff and don't always get a chance to go out much.
Absolutely, dude. If I was in college when YouTube was in its heyday, and like the content was out there, I'd be just like you. I would literally have like that's why I try to do something about it, because I also understand how compelling it can be for someone who might not even, excuse me, who might not even be able to know how to navigate this stuff. Like when I was young, there was no pickup artist. There was nothing to look at. There weren't even online fitness. Like Richard Simmons was like on VHS. Like I had nothing that was going to teach me how to do fitness or anything like that. So like I feel like I totally relate to the guys who are looking for answers, and YouTube gave them what seemed to be the answers. So I totally empathize. Like that's why I don't have ill will towards people who listen to Red Pill. I have ill will towards the people who grifted on the guys who were vulnerable.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, keep me posted, Bruno. I appreciate the question, dude.
All right, appreciate you, man.
Oh,
Like
you
always.
too. All right, I got two more callers, and then I'm gonna call it. I got Arabal and then Wes. Ended with Wes. I am Richard Simmons old. I am 42 years old. I was sweating to the oldies. I mean, I was a kid. I think my mom had the tapes. It wasn't necessarily me, but I wanted to impress these girls at elementary school, so I wanted to get fit. Um, all right, let me get my homeboy in here. Oh, before
Yo,
hang tight 1 second. I got an
hello?
Instagram question. Hey, can you hear me?
All right.
Hey, hang on 1 second. Might be a
Yeah,
dumb
what's up, man?
question, but would you say building confidence after an abusive relationship is different than someone building confidence from black pill, red pill? Yes. I think everyone comes from different places when they're building confidence, and some journeys are definitely harder than others. Some people have bigger hills to overcome. Absolutely. I tried to go to a dance class today, but got cold feet at the very last minute and came back. I get it. It's scary. It's a scary thing. I implore you to try to go back to that dance class, open that door, put on those dancing shoes, and just go for it. You won't regret it. You won't come back and saying, "Man, I wish I wouldn't have done it." You're gonna feel good about yourself for doing that. All right, what's up? What's on your mind, homie?
What's up, man? I spoke to you, I think last week.
I think so.
It
Yeah.
was in the yeah, I was in the chat, but I kind of just want to get some more advice from you one on one right here on the live. So I
Give me.
told you last week that there's this girl that I like in my class, but I've never cold. I mean, I've cold approached once, but that was in high school, and that went so bad, dude. Like
Yeah.
I looked so awkward, and I was like in the middle of the hallway, like blocking traffic and shit. So,
I
yeah,
get it, dude. I get it. I've been there.
yeah. So basically, my question is like, how do you think I should go about it? What do you think I should do? Or
I don't know if I mentioned it last week, but I feel like I might have mentioned the patient approach. If you see somebody regularly, you don't have to like put all your eggs in the basket immediately. Like you can break it down because right now, are you a complete stranger to her?
we just have a class together. So basically, yeah,
So she at least has maybe heard you speak, but not like in any kind of one-on-one situation, or you guys haven't had any sort of like direct contact.
yeah, exactly. Like I've spoken in class, like I've made comments on what the professor like asks us, but I've never like directly spoken to her in any way. She sits like two tables across from me, so yeah.
Okay. So my best advice here, and this is what I did when I was in school, was try to just not be a stranger. That's the first step. So
Hmm.
the first step is you're a classmate that she doesn't know. That's pretty normal, pretty typical. But then
Yeah.
I think the next thing you can do is just try to like break the ice, which is literally, I'm going to try to have a benign conversation with you that at least if we can break that awkward barrier that we have as strangers, now all of a sudden
Hmm.
we're looking at each other in the face and we're having a small talk conversation. And it can be as little as, hey, did you pick up on what the teacher was saying, in class today? Like after class, like as you're walking out, try to catch her on the way
Hmm.
out or something and just say, hey, did you pick up on what he was saying? I didn't catch that part. Even if you're kind of making it up, like just something that's like very benign, very not in any sort of way romantic. And just
Right.
like try to like, and then keep it brief, keep it like, okay, yeah, no, I didn't get that. Okay, thank you. All right, I appreciate it. All right, I'll see you next time. And that's it. Just something like
Okay.
that. Then all of a sudden, there's a little familiarity. There's just a little bit. It's not like anything to end all be all or change. But one of the things I would notice when I was in school is if I did that with a girl, if I asked her something like, hey, do you know where the library or the thing is? I'm looking for this. And they'd be like, oh, it's over there. Then I would see her again. It would kind of go from like she never noticed me to like, oh, I had a conversation with that guy last week, to like a head nod, to like a wave, to like, just little
For sure.
things
Yeah.
that all of a sudden, okay, I'm not a stranger. I'm like not this weird guy. And then I think you can then approach her with another conversation. If there's another opportunity, you notice something in her bag, you notice, she has like, I used to notice girls had like stickers or patches on their binders or on their bags or anything like that. And I would try to use that as like a conversation starter. Just
Right.
something like that to, again, just continue to breed familiarity. And then
For
once
sure.
once you feel somewhat comfortable, then you just say, "Hey, look, I've noticed you. I think you're cute. I think you're really cool. I'd love to take you to blank or whatever." And just ask her that
Mhm.
very, casually and see what she says. And that's all you can really do. Another thing you can do too is like, I don't know how humorous you feel you are, but I used to try to like make a good joke in class to the whole class and try to
Yeah.
like just show that I'm kind of funny, like, and just show that, you know, uh, and again, that's not everybody, but that's what I would do. That's what I would try to do is just be like, I'd make a joke at the teacher's expense or something, not like mean, but I would always just try to make a light joke and like make everybody laugh, and that often earns you a lot of like favor. It earns you a little bit of like, okay, this guy's like funny. That's cool. That's a plus on his side. Um,
Yeah.
Anything like that, like showing that you're confident in class, like things like that. I think,
Hmm.
people can all of a sudden look at you differently. I remember this one girl I wanted to date in college. I had to put together this project, and I made it really funny. And I put the project together. I showed it in class, and afterwards, she walked up to me and was like, "I didn't know you were this kind of a character." And I was like, "Well, there's a lot of things about me you don't know." And I just said something like that, just to kind of like, again, pick away at it. Then eventually, she agreed to have lunch with me and things like that. So, um,
Yeah.
it just requires that I don't think she ever noticed me before that. You know what I mean? I don't think she ever
Yeah.
even
Yeah.
like looked my way.
Hmm.
So I think there's just little things like that that you can do to kind of chip away at the, I'm a stranger and I don't know you, to all of a sudden I feel like I kind of know who you are even though I don't.
Right. Yeah. 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 I remember you mentioning that specific advice in the last live. Like I was commenting, and you told me just to like like you're saying, become familiar with her. But I think that the reason that I'm hesitant to start off just like with basic questions, asking her, like you said, hey, did you pick up this in class and all that? I think the reason that I'm hesitant to do that is because I don't want to come off as like, how do I say it? Like weird. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it's only weird if it doesn't feel genuine. I think that's the only time it'll feel weird. Is people
Hmm.
really do pick up on like your intentions or um, kind of your motivations. But
Yeah.
if it doesn't come across as like I'm trying to be in any way romantic or sexual, and
Hmm.
I'm genuinely asking a question, I don't think it comes off as weird. Um, and again, you don't know her situation either. Like she could have a boyfriend, she could, whatever. You don't know her situation, but I don't.
Yeah.
I don't think. I think a genuine conversation with somebody won't come across as weird. And again, as long as you try to make it somewhat brief, it doesn't. If you try to linger too long, then it can get weird. Um,
Hmm.
but if you feel like you're at a good place where like, okay, we had a little back and forth, whatever, it's like, all right, I'll catch you later, and you just, you know,
Yeah.
free her of that, burden of trying to figure out what to say next or like anything like that.
Yeah, socially, I wouldn't consider myself someone who's pretty extrovert, so I'm not too afraid of, keeping the conversation going too long whenever I do approach her.
Yeah,
Um,
I don't think it
but
should
my,
be too short either, but I think
mhm,
it definitely shouldn't be too long.
yeah, my fear is mostly either making her uncomfortable or just it being overall awkward. Like, I don't know, me tripping over my words or I don't know, like I'm making an assumption about her mid conversation and she gets offended. Like I don't know, I have those fears
I get
whenever.
it. Let me ask you: when you talk to general people out in general, like you go to a store, or a waiter, or a hostess, or anything like that, do you feel
Hmm.
those feelings?
Nah, not really.
I think I.
Just
Oh, go ahead.
whenever it comes to like someone that I'm physically attracted to,
Yeah.
those feelings of don't mess up, don't mess up, those feelings of don't mess up come up in my mind. But whenever I'm talking to like one of my friends, someone at the store, helping out people at work, I don't get those feelings.
Absolutely, dude. So that the reason I asked the other question is because in those situations, exactly bracelets just nailed it. You're worried about the outcome. When you're talking to a waiter, you don't care what the outcome is. When you're talking to a hostess or anybody else, customer service, anything like that, you're not worried about the
Hmm.
outcome. But whenever it comes to someone you're attracted to, you're worried about the outcome. And I think obviously it's easier said than done, but like if you have total confidence and self-respect, you're not worried about the outcome because the outcome is not going to define you and it's not going to in any way kill you. Like, yes, rejection sucks, and yes, it's not the greatest feeling in the world, but I try to transition the feeling of whatever potential embarrassment I might feel from getting rejected into pride. I try to like say, you know what? Yeah, that didn't go my way, but damn, you should be proud of yourself for going up and doing that thing. That was scary, and you did it anyway. And I
For
think
sure.
that is the feeling I want men to have, even when they get rejected. Is
Yeah.
be proud of yourself. You have absolutely done something brave, and you should hold your head up high because most men are afraid to do this.
Yeah, for sure. That's something that actually my I was talking to my uncle about the same thing we're talking about right now, and he told me that, like, believe it or not, there's men in their 30s, 40s that still have this fear that I have right now as a 20-year-old
Absolutely,
that
man.
I should embrace like embrace failure, embrace rejection because it's gonna happen eventually.
I'm telling you, man. Like, if you can learn to love rejection, your life is going to open up for you in ways you don't even understand. It
Yeah,
doesn't define you. It doesn't in any way need to define you. And again, if you can develop that sort of internal fortitude that it doesn't really matter. You will, like I said, I've gone up, like I mentioned earlier, I've gone up to complete strangers. I've gone up to actresses. I've gone up to musicians. I don't, comedians. It just, nothing, it doesn't scare me because I'm not worried about the outcome. But wasn't always that way, like everything I'm saying came after, I'm 42 years old, man. It came after like
hmm,
all this trial and error, all the like ups and downs, all the therapy I've gone through, all the books I've read. I've had to like get to this point. So it's not an easy thing. But I can tell you
Yeah.
from the other side that rejection is not in any way a negative thing. You know, like if you, let's say you had a business you're trying to pitch, you're going to go to investors, they're going to say no. You don't have to sit there and say, well, this means I'm worthless. It's like, no, this investor doesn't see it, I'm going to go find another one. You know, like
Right.
rejection is a part of getting what you want.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. I uh I definitely want to get to a point where you're at, man, where like I don't give a fuck anymore. Cause I tell myself I don't give a fuck, but in reality I do, you know?
I totally, dude. And you know, there is some truth to fake it till you make it. There is some truth to it, but that's not the method I try to teach. I really want it to come from a genuine place where you have proven to yourself over and over again that you can trust yourself, that you have done things to your own pride that you should be proud of. You have done little things along the way that you can look back and say, look what I did. Look what I did. Yeah, do it scared. That's exactly it. Like courage is not the
Yeah.
absence of fear. Courage is doing it anyway. And I just feel like if you can embrace that courage, if you can like anytime you're feeling courageous and you're doing something courageous, like really just like savor that feeling, because that
Mm-hmm.
tension you feel when you're doing something scary, there is like nothing else like it. There's nothing else, and that tension is something that I feel like that's where life really is. It's in those like moments of like doing
For
something
sure.
that could be risky. You know, risk
Yeah.
is a big part of I think what is attractive. You know, like in a
That
weird, it's I took a risk on my business. I took a risk on asking you out. I took a risk. I'm not saying do this, but like I ride a motorcycle. That's risky. Like things like that. There's things that like I think make it attractive because you are doing. You know, like if you're performing in a band, a lot of women think that's attractive because you're brave enough to go up on stage and perform and do something that
mm-hmm.
like could go wrong. And if it goes well, it's like, damn, look what you did. All of those things are what make I think life, kind of sweet in a lot of ways, because if everything was easy and everything just it wouldn't be as good. You have to take those steps that are beyond what your comfort zone is. They say what you want in life is outside your comfort zone, and I believe that.
Yeah, for sure. I totally agree with you, man. Like whenever I go up to someone new or someone that I find somewhat attractive, and even if it's just a genuine interaction where I need help at the grocery store or something like that, whenever I get that, like intense feeling in my heart where my heart starts bumping and stuff, I'm like feeling those butterflies in my stomach of interacting with the beautiful person. That's when I feel like the most alive. But at the same time, it's like the interactions that I don't want to have. It's funny. It's ironic that I want to have them, but at the same time, I'm like, nah,
Yeah,
I'm good.
I get it, dude. I get it. But you said those moments where you feel alive, there's nothing like those moments. There's nothing like it because, you're going through life, you're not feeling that, but then you put yourself in that position and you're in it and there's no getting out of it. You gotta like live with this tension. You have to live with it. And to me, it's exhilarating, to me, but
Yeah.
I had to get to that point. So, but I get it, man, and I want to help men get to that point. Again, I don't know if you checked out the free chapters, dude, but check out the free chapters at least. I really do try to teach men the template that I use to like build self confidence.
Okay. Is it in your bio
Yeah,
or
it's in my
where can I
bio.
find it?
Yeah.
Okay, for sure. Yeah, man. For me, it's not even too much of a factor when it comes to my physical like appearance. Like I'm not ugly, but I'm not very attractive. And I think one of my biggest boosters for me personally has always been my height. I don't know. It's just something that keeps me going. My biggest issue when it comes to me is my ability to speak. Like I get super nervous, man. So yeah, thank you for that insight.
Of course,
It,
man.
I think it'll really help me. But before I let you go, man, I just want to ask you like I don't want to get too personal, but when did you like first, I guess, start, like talking to girls or getting out there? Because I feel like sometimes I'm behind. I'm 20 years old and I've been in one relationship. I don't know.
You're not behind. I'm also a bit of a freak. Like I'm a weirdo because I got in trouble in preschool for kissing girls. Like I have been after girls since I can remember, dude. It's just one of those things
Yeah,
about me. I don't know what it is. My grandpa had 17 kids. I don't know if it's just
but
because like That's just how it is. But anyway, I've always been interested in women, and so I've always was trying to figure out what it was I could do to get them interested in me. And throughout elementary school, middle school, whatever, it wasn't great. And then my first 2 years of high school, it wasn't great. And then something hit, something switched. I don't know what it was. I think I had like a really good friend group. I felt confident in my friend group. I felt like I had some cool friends in my life. And then all of a sudden, I was like, just because I was kind of rolling with them, I felt confident enough to just like start talking to girls. And it
Hmm.
started to just kind of click. And then,
Was this in college?
this was in like late high school.
Late high school?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then in college, I kind of refined it. That's where I like. So I just backstory. When I was like 19, I had a friend who couldn't talk to women, and so I wanted to write a book to help him. And I wrote it when I was like 20 years old. And what I did was in college, I tried to like learn the techniques that I was going to try to write in my book. And so I was practicing. I practiced things that I would just go up to women. I would try this. I would try that. I would be like, okay, this is a good ground for me to just like practice. And that's where I think I kind of really honed in on it. And then after that, it just snowballed from there. But it's because I was very intentional with like learning how to do it. And again, I didn't have YouTube. I didn't have anything like that at the time to learn. So I had to kind of do it on my
Yeah.
own. So I was doing my
Yeah,
own
for
kind of
sure.
field research, but I got rejected a lot. I took a lot of L's. It's there's no question about it. I've done the mistake of trying to lead with like buying drinks. There's all kinds of stuff. I had a girl in Vegas. I went up to cold approach. She seemed into it. Bought her drinks. We were shooting the shit. It seemed like she wanted to like hang out with me. I was like, well, I'm gonna go to the restroom. I went to the restroom. Came out. She was gone. And I was like, oh
Oh man.
shit. Like that was a devastating night. That was like, oh my god, how much money did I spend trying to get this girl to like me?
Yeah,
So those are lessons I had to learn myself.
for sure. Okay. Well, thank you for your insight, man. And before I go, I just want to speak directly to somebody in the chat. There's some guy named Fire AEFW. To this guy, dude, I used to be just like you. I used to think that the red pill was my source of knowing how to date. Dude, if you keep doing going down that hole, you're gonna get fucked. Honestly, I was in there for like 3, 4 years, man, all throughout high school, and it really messed up my mind when it comes to women. It made me dehumanize them. Made me, dude, you're not in reality when you're listening to these guys speak about women. They're around Miami, women all day. That's all they know. I'm
Dude,
just trying to help this guy. It's crazy.
I
I see him
appreciate
in
you
the
saying
chat.
that. I know.
Yeah, I see him in the chat, and I kind of see myself in him. That's how I used to think. I'm like, damn, poor dude. I wonder how old he is and all that. Like he's probably some 16-year-old or something. I feel bad for him.
Yeah, dude, I feel bad too because I would have been exactly the same way if I was young. I would have been you too. Like I would have absolutely been there. There's no question in my mind because I was so interested in meeting women and talking to women that I would have done anything, including go to YouTube. And that stuff would have easily convinced me of what I was supposed to try to do. But I think the reason I started this channel and the reason I want to reach guys like Fire is because I have had success in dating and I don't do the red pill stuff. And that's why I'm
Hmm.
like, this stuff isn't going to work, you guys. Like, I'm telling you, it's just not going to do it. And it's going to make your mind angry at women. There's no need to be angry. I have been cheated on. I have been divorced. I have been, left at a bar in Vegas. There's so many things that's happened to me that never made me hate women, but the red pill makes men feel some type of way about them, and it's like only focus on yourself, only focus on what you can do.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with you. This guy, I mean, no disrespect to this guy, but he sounds angry and lonely. And I, just like you, I want to help him, but he needs to acknowledge, firstly, that his world view is flawed and it needs to be changed. Because I asked him in the chat, I asked him, like, dude, are you married and have you dated in the last year? And he told me no. But does that mean I can't get women? I'm like, yes, dude, that's exactly what it means. So I'm just trying to help you, man. Whoever that is in the chat, I don't know how old you are, I don't know your situation, but you can always get better in this regard in dating and in life. You don't have to listen to these red pill people, man.
Absolutely, dude, absolutely. Well, Fire, I'll address you. Hey man, I appreciate it. I gotta get to a couple more callers and then I'm gonna call it. But thank you
All
so
right.
much, dude. I appreciate the conversation, man.
For sure. Yeah. It was a beautiful conversation, man. Have a good one.
You too. I'm gonna get to Wes and then Ash. These are the last two voice calls I'm gonna do because I do need to wrap up soon. I want to answer Top Pick Bravo and on Instagram. Okay, I'm interested in how did you not fall into resentment from being cheated on and by divorce? I love this question. I very much appreciate this question. So the thing about resentment and anger is it doesn't help you and it doesn't hurt the people you're angry or resentful of. All it does is a poison that you take for yourself, and all it does is hurt you. You have to let go of the anger and you have to let go of the resentment. There is only one thing you can control in life, and that's how you react to things that happen to you. You can react in a way that's angry, but that's not going to help you. You can react in a way that's, resentful, but that's not going to help you. Or you can say, here's what I can do to improve my life and improve the way I feel about myself. And that is all is in your control. You cannot control other people. You cannot control how they react. Of course there's heartbreak. Of course there's pain. Of course that is a normal human thing to go through. That is absolutely normal. But how you react afterwards is 100% up to you. And you get to make that decision. You get to make the decision of what kind of person you want to be. Do you want to be the kind of person that just gets mad at women just because a couple of them hurt you? Or do you want to be the kind of person that says, you know what, that's on them, it's not on me, and I'm going to focus on what's within my control? And that is how I've guided my life since then. All right, let me get Wes in here. What's up, dude?
Hello.
You still in Wisconsin?
Yep.
How's it going?
Actually, I'll leave this week,
Nice.
Saturday. So I'm just gonna be quick. I've been trying to ask you this question for a while. It's just like, is public speaking a sign that someone is confident, or is it a good sign that someone is confident?
Not always. I think it could be, but I don't think it's necessarily an end all be all sign that someone's confident. I think people can be confident without ever speaking in public, 100%. I don't think, but can it be a sign of confidence? Yes.
Yeah, it's just I volunteer at the Western Royal Museum, and I give doses. I give tours. I talk to people about history, and I find ironic that I'm willing to people are scared of public speaking, but it's
hmm
like me, I'm good at it. Whereas talking to someone's like I'm struggling.
That's cool, man. That's cool that you feel confident. But I think that's another thing about feeling confident is that you have some sort of base to feel confident on. Like you feel confident talking about the stuff at the museum because you know it. You know it
Yeah.
and you're passionate about it. So the confidence can come from knowledge, experience, and passion. It can absolutely come from all of those things. But you don't feel as confident in other situations. Some people feel confident in certain rooms and some people feel unconfident in certain rooms. Let me tell you, like, I'll give you a vulnerable example. And my wife can tell you this, obviously I don't ever have her on stream or anything, but when I went to Amfest to meet with a bunch of other influencers, I felt like a complete loser. And I don't feel that way often, but I wasn't as comfortable there as I am around people who aren't influencers. But when I was around a bunch of influencers, I suddenly kind of felt like, ooh, I don't feel like I belong here. And I had to like fight through that myself based on all the other things I've been able to do. And I did, and eventually it worked out. But there's certain environments where even I can feel like not, fully confident. So there's certain things where it's like, I'm an expert here, I'm confident. I'm not an expert here, so I'm a little less confident.
I also think the reason why I'm kind of struggling in life in general or the reason why I struggle to talk to people is because of my life experiences. I had a lot of bad ones growing up. It's not like bad, like it's not like abuse. It's more just like because of my autism, it's like an ADHD. It's like I'm kind of molded to basically it's like protections, right? So I'll give you examples, right? So when I was in public school the first time, they gave me my own desk. Now I thought I was the king when I was, I was a little kid. It's like I thought I was a king. Like no one gets their own desk. Yeah, that was basically the school system or the school flagging me for like, yeah. And that was like whispers of like when I was getting diagnosed. When I got transferred to another school, that was the worst experience. It's actually the reason why they pulled me out, or I got pulled out and became homeschooled for a while. So normally there was like one teacher, the free helpers. The free helpers were also terrible to me because they didn't know how to handle me. They knew I had autism. They knew they I'm assuming they either didn't care or they didn't know how to deal with me. There was one time when I was in post school, and so you know what May 4th is, right? May the 4th be with you, right?
I do, yeah.
Well, on May 4th, it's International Firefighters Day, and when I was little, I loved fire trucks. I wanted to become a firefighter, still am. So I wrote this little piece of paper, salute to the firefighters, all that stuff, right? But when I went to the school, they were just pretty much, yeah, it's Star Wars Day, go in front of the class, read what you have to say, and sit down. Like it's not Firefighters Day, it's Star Wars Day, not everything about you, blah 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 blah. Yeah, they were very bad to me, and and then I got pulled out
Damn.
because of the stuff like that. And then when I was in ABA therapy, there's more info. And this is back in 2020, 2021, right? I was about maybe 12 or 13 at the time. Most of the therapists that I had, I had like maybe four. Two of them were women, but they were in their 20s. And unfortunately, because of ABA, because it's unregulated, pretty much the therapists are not licensed. They're mostly doing this as a summer job or mostly just like get it like as an entry course to like, children's psychology, like special ed. They probably went through a seminar or something. It's like, okay, now you're on your own. And one of my longtime therapists, there was one time she pretty much explained how she was in a terrible relationship. She was, keep in mind, I was 13 at the time, so pretty much she was talking about, she was in a very bad relationship, bad childhood, basically to a 12-year-old. And now that I think about it, like that's not something to do as a therapist. I don't know,
That's what
but
I'm saying, man. I have a lot of beef with your therapist, dude.
no, no, not my current therapist.
No, I know. I'm saying like the history. It sounds like just the series of therapists I have issues with.
Yes, and unfortunately, she didn't know how to deal with me. We argued constantly because, well, she didn't know how to deal with me because she wasn't trained or she wasn't trained enough. And there were times we would argue. We would basically like kind of butt heads with each other over like the smallest things, right? And also, she kind of is the reason why I don't talk about my interests with people because she's like, well,
Stop talking
I'm
about
not
trains.
interested. Yeah, pretty much. Well, I'm not interested in what you're in, and I don't want to hear it. So that's what it's like. Because of the situations I've been in my life, it's like it kind of trained my brain to be like, okay, don't talk to people randomly. Don't try to even talk to people. Don't talk about your interests. And I think that's why I'm very reserved. Like I'm like I leave people alone. I'm in my own space and I let people be and I let myself be. Just like I'm not that type of person. And I think it's because of what I've dealt with in my life.
I mean, dude, yeah, a therapist. If a therapist is telling you that, you're absolutely gonna feel that way about, I think, the general population too.
Yeah, and again, I don't have hard feelings against one of my therapists. I'm still sort of like I still know her, but it's just like again, I don't have hard feelings against her because it's like I get it. The system is broken. She wasn't trained enough, and it's like, dude, I don't have any hard feelings against you. It's just a product of, just like it was in the past. Like it's but I think that's why I'm kind of struggling with life. Is just you know how you kind of told me to like, like, oh, you might notice, your insecurities.
What did I say?
Oh, like, you might notice insecurities in your try to discover them
Yeah.
or something.
Yeah.
Well, it's like, I thought, when I first talked to you, I was like, it's like, I don't really have any insecurities. But now as I think, it's like, oh, I'm afraid of heights. I'm insecure about this or my interests, or I'm insecure about how, if it begins to like, okay, why am I insecure? It's like, oh, maybe it's because of what happened in my life.
Yeah, dude. I mean, I think, I there's a lot of reasons people can be insecure. Like I could tell you that me moving around a lot had a lot to do with my insecurity. There's a lot of you don't quite always know what it is that's gonna make you feel a certain way about your life. But me not growing up around a lot of family, me not growing up with a stable like setting, a stable home. I went to like I think 4 schools for the first grade alone. Like all of that made me feel literally unsecure, like or insecure because I wasn't secure. I had a lot of change and a lot of things going on. And that's something I had to learn down the road. There's a lot of things that happen to us as children. There's a lot of things that happen to us as teenagers that we don't realize how much of it affects us down the line. And there are so many things that have come out for me in therapy where it's like, why did you use that word? And I was like, I don't know. That's just what I felt. And she was like, can you really like explore why you use that word? And I was like, I think I know why. And like it came to me. It was a realization. It was like one of the only breakthroughs I've ever really, really had in therapy. But that's what I think is like there's a lot of things that we don't quite understand about ourselves, why we like the things we like, why we do the things we do, why we act certain ways in certain relationships. We had a caller earlier who had a past trauma with infidelity, and so that carries over to her current relationship. There's all these things that we carry with us, and if we're not aware of them, we can never really address them.
Yeah, just because of what I experienced in my life, the traumas is like, it's kind of molded to who I am as a person. And now, since I'm going to be going into adult school pretty soon, it's like, okay, well, the ABA didn't help because it didn't teach me how to communicate. Because the way they did it was, okay, this is during the pandemic, right? And everyone wore masks, right? So what my therapist did to kind of explain social cues to me is this, okay, we talk about self-hate. And she would basically like over exaggerate the feelings. It's like she'll look away. It's like, oh, you're not. And basically, it's like, hey, are you interested? Or and she yells like, "Ugh." It's like, oh, are you tired? And it's like that's a horrible way to teach someone how to understand social cues.
Absolutely.
And again, not being in the school system, being homeschooled for I think 10, 11 years didn't help because I'm a very socially awkward person. I'm willing to admit I'm a socially awkward person. I struggle to talk to people all the time.
Yeah.
Like I'm willing to admit that hey, I struggle with communication. I talk to many people. It's like I'm willing to admit like hey, I have these challenges. I struggle with it, and it's like
Yeah, dude.
unfortunately, I'm kind of sorry.
Go ahead. Unfortunately, what?
Unfortunately, I'm kind of numb to my trauma. It's like, back then I didn't really realize that these events, well, right now, I didn't really think of these events as like, would be kind of affecting my life. But now, because I'm kind of beginning to kind of remember what happened and kind of made me realize that, okay, yeah, what happened in school kind of like molded me into who I am today.
Things your therapist said. The list goes on, dude. It really, and I think that's what happens. We're young, we're living life, we're going through the steps, we're going to school, we're making friends, we're going through whatever it is, the traumas of home, the fights our parents get into, all that stuff, all of that affects you down the line. And if we never take a moment to self-reflect, then that stuff is going to affect how you make decisions and how you move through life. So it's very important to take those steps, especially in therapy, reading, things like that, to understand why are you making the decisions you make. People who constantly pick bad partners. Why do you constantly pick bad partners? Why is your picker off? Why do you pick bad people? And those are things that if somebody doesn't ever stop to ask themselves and try to really, it will be unconscious. Thank you, bracelets. Bracelets is a very wise person. I just want to say, if it's unconscious, you're just going to continue to go on, and you're not going to ever live a examined life. Is basically what I think. You have to examine your own life, and then that way you can be more conscious about the choices you make going forward.
Yeah, it's just that now that I'm going to be going to be in a school, I'm going to be in adult school pretty soon to get my GED and stuff.
Nice.
And yeah, it's like it's just unfortunate. It's going to be really hard to talk to people, like getting used to people, getting used to talking to people because I've been home for the majority of my life, and unfortunately, I've been pushed to. I try to talk with people. I try to be even when I was a kid, and people thought I was disturbing people or they push me. They pretty much just like they don't want to deal with me, right? So that was in the public school system, and then and with my therapist, I tried to express my interest, and she didn't really care. But yeah, what's really ironic is that basically she didn't want to hear me about talking about what I like, usually trades, but she'll talk about the Mandalorian for 30 minutes with my mother or my mom, and she'll talk about Star Wars and the Mandalorian for 30 minutes.
Yeah. I mean, look, school is a horrible place for a lot of people. It's a horrible place for I think most people. Like it's children and teenagers at their worst in a lot of ways, and it will make you question everything about life and fairness and all that stuff for sure. It molds a lot of people. I mean, when I was talking earlier about being the only Latino kid at a school in South Carolina, I got made fun of a lot because everyone else was white or black, and I was this like hairy Mexican kid, and like everyone was like making fun of me, and I'm thankful that I'm somebody who has always been like a fighter and resilient and like, but it affected me, of course, but I was definitely somebody that was like, I'm not crazy, you're crazy. Like that's how I always felt, and I was always like scrappy that way. But it affects you. All that stuff really takes a toll on you. And it wasn't until years later that a lot of those people apologized to me, and they were like, I don't know what the hell is wrong with me. It's like people are just dumb in school. Like, but that doesn't mean it's gonna affect you. Like, it's going to absolutely, yeah, dude. Like you said, I used to want to be white. Like I said, I started skateboarding. I was like, I didn't feel proud to be who I was. That's how bad it can be in school. It can make you want to like change everything about yourself. And I love being Latino now. Like, I'm so glad that I embrace who I am. So I get it, but those are the kinds of things that I think you have to like, those are the things that you have to look back on and say, what kind of person do I want to be? And now that I know everything that's made me this today, how do I want to be tomorrow?
And I can relate to you because there are moments where it's like, man, I hate being autistic. It's like I feel like a burden,
Mm.
but I feel like it's like just like like you being made fun of for who you are. Is like you get those feelings, and I got some of those, so I kind of relate to you on this
Yeah, man.
because I mean in school I wasn't made fun of. Like I didn't get bullied or anything. It's just that it's just unfortunately that in fact the helpers they were very they weren't like abusive or they didn't know better, and they again it was the school was awful. In fact, it was so bad that I didn't want to go back to the public school system. I had a very big distrust towards them because of what I experienced when I was when I was in public school. I was in elementary. I got pulled out at around maybe like 2015.
Yeah, dude. I mean, those
So
are all traumas. Those are all things that you've experienced that you carry with you. And that's why I'm a big believer in therapy, because therapy helps you unpack all that. And again, like you get to, it's like once you can see the wiring in your brain, once you can start to see what it is that makes you the way you are, you have a clearer picture of not only yourself, but it also gives you a clearer path to make the decisions you want to make to become the kind of person you want to be. So, This is why I want you to find a great therapist. This is why I want you to read as many books as you can, Wes, besides what they're going to teach you in your GED class. Like, soak in as much information about the questions you have about yourself. And I'm telling you, that is everything to somebody, because then you can embrace fully who you are, appreciate everything about yourself, including the things that you
Hold on,
once
wait.
hated. Like I remember telling my cousins I wish I wasn't Latino, and they looked at me like I'm crazy. And I get why now.
I
So
actually bought a new book. I don't know where it is at the moment. I think it's packed. But I think it's like 50 things a gentleman should know. I don't know who wrote the book though. I don't remember. I would have to dig that out. But I bought it I went to the small town in Wisconsin. They had a thrift store and they had a book. I was like, you know what? I might buy it, have a look through it.
yeah, man, that's a great instinct. I think, again, Google Google or use AI. AI has been one of the best things for me to get like my reading list. I'm like, I have this problem. Give me books that outline this, this, and this, and this, and it'll give me a list of books, and I'll say I want to read this one. This is the one I want to read to like really get my head around this subject. So if there's something you're facing in your life, literally go Google, because someone has probably written a book about it. And I had such a thirst for knowledge in that way. I want to solve my problems as fast as I can because I hate having them. I hate things that I can't solve. And so it's like, if I can find a way to solve it, I'm going to do it. And that's what I encourage anybody who's listening. If there is an issue you're facing, there is probably something you can do to like just really get your head around a problem in a way that you didn't think to.
Yeah, the Wisconsin trip was amazing. I went to a railway museum, the East Troy Railway Museum. It's an electric railway museum similar to the museum I worked at. I was actually personally invited by a volunteer. We looked around, gave me like a private tour of like everything, or not a private tour, but a tour of, the facility, saw everything. It was nice. And actually, I actually am reading a book, a very old book, because I'm hoping to learn how boilers and steam locomotives work.
Nice.
I'm reading a book called, I think it's called The Locomotive Up to Date. It is from 1906.
Damn.
1906. It's like an actual textbook, and I'm reading this like to understand how steam locomotives work.
That's so cool, dude. That's so cool. From 120 years ago. That's wild.
Yes, and it's I told this I'm talking with a guy who's helping me with the book, and I asked him like, "Hey, is this a good textbook?" He's like, "Oh, I have it. It's like the best book around."
Now 126 years later, or 120 years later, we're sending people to the moon today. Like, this is crazy. I love that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I should probably get to bed at like 10:49 in my time.
Yeah,
And
I gotta wrap up too. So thanks for calling in, Wes.
yeah, it's
I always
nice,
like hearing
nice
from
talking to
you, homie.
you.
All right,
Yeah, it's
later, man.
nice. You too.
All right, I'm gonna wrap up with Ash, and then I'm gonna call it. Hey, Ash. Wait, you're not in yet. My bad. What's up, man?
Hey, can you hear me?
I can, dude. What's going on?
Not much. So I mentioned to you that I'm going to an event in person. That's in a couple of days this Saturday.
Oh, it's Saturday. Okay.
So it's like a regular dating speed dating event, like what I've been going to, whether if it's in person or virtual. Um, so I obviously I know you mentioned improv classes. Sometimes just try to uh kind of engage with what they're talking about to keep conversations going. Ask them about themselves if you lose track of a topic.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I know you in general you kind of talk about going like maybe an event for that's something that you like or hobbies or things like a general activity. Obviously, this is a little bit different. Any advice you have?
I'm going to the Saturday event.
Yes.
Is it? Remind me. Is it speed dating?
Yeah, this is a speed dating event. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, so I would say be present. Don't worry about the outcome. Those are the first two things. Like, just be there. Don't worry about if it's going to go well or not. Just every new conversation you're having, focus entirely on that person. Focus entirely on like asking the right questions, answering the questions, and just being delightful to talk to. I think that's all you need to focus on. And then, how does it work with like afterwards, like connecting with somebody?
Yeah, so the first one I went to in person, and this is kind of something I uh, didn't pick up right away, was you meet with uh, certain people that's within your age preference, right? That you choose when you register for the event, right? And so I had about 7 or 8, women that I was like going to connect with, right? And then there was so I speak with all of them, and then we have about 10, 15 minutes to speak. And then, originally how it works was like if you're interested, you let the people that are hosting the event know, hey, you're interested in this particular person. They would reach out to the other person if they are also interested in then you can kind of connect and exchange numbers. But something they did was uh they said while we're talking, if you want to exchange numbers, and you could do that. I didn't do that first because I was always thinking that maybe I just let them know who I like, and then go from there. I went with my cousin, and he got some numbers right away. I didn't know I had to do that. I kind of misheard it, or kind of you know so but ultimately, whoever I end up liking the most, I did get that girl's number. Obviously didn't work out, but this is from a different host. This is not from that same host,
Yeah.
but it is the same host that from one of the virtual events I went to. So I don't know if it's going to be the same and it's going to be the different, But I just wanted to get your. I know we did a lot conversation about this. Just
No,
it's coming
I
out.
like this. No, you're going in fresh. So what I said about being present, being curious, that I don't focus on the outcome. I still stand by that. But here's another thing I want to say: if you're talking to somebody and you are like 100% sure that you want to see them again, or you're like instead of waiting to tell the other people, I would try shooting your shot right there personally. I would like stretch yourself in that way where it's like, listen, I don't want to wait till this. I really like you. I'd love to connect with you after this. Could I get your phone number? Like just try that, something like that, very confidently, but very like I think that will be different than trying to get match made after, because again, I think you you even showing that kind of courage is attractive. Like it's an attractive trait to have the kind of courage to say something like that. And I think that's gonna go further than whether or not you guys connect afterwards through a third party, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that definitely makes sense. And
I wouldn't necessarily do it with everybody, obviously. Like you don't want to do that with every person you talk to, but if you're like, "Oh my god, we're having a great conversation. I really like this woman." Like, I don't think there's any harm in just shooting your shot there if you're allowed to, if it's not like against the rules or whatever.
yeah, I think if it's similar to the last event I went in person, I'll definitely, ask for the number if I feel like the conversation is going well and we have a lot of similarities.
Hmm.
That way, I'm not just getting one person's number. Maybe I get another two or three, and then just kind of see how it goes. Like I said, if one doesn't work, but the second one works out, I mean, it ultimately, worked out long term. But yeah, that's something I'm gonna do. And I think like in person event, obviously, yes, I'm gonna definitely try to look as best as I can.
Hmm.
Maybe get a haircut. Obviously, um, try to make sure I not just like I try to look good, I smell good because I know hygiene's a big thing. And just be confident. I mean, this will be I'll be going by myself. I had someone with me, my cousin, so I felt like I was not alone. But this is the first I'll be going by myself to this, and
Hmm.
it's not a nearby location. I mean, it's an hour away, but so I tend to get a little nervous in the beginning, but I
Of
think once
course.
the flow kind of starts going, then it gets a little bit more comfortable. Um, but Yeah, I mean, listen, I think what regarding these in person, when you're talking to someone in person, right? Like, obviously, like I mentioned in the comment, a girl could think a guy's attractive, but once they start talking, it could either get more attractive or he become less attractive, or vice versa.
Exactly.
So, um, and then this is another thing. It's like, it's yes, there's gonna be, I don't know how many people are gonna be in this. Maybe let's say there's like 20 girls, 20 women, and 20 men, right? So I'm competing against 19. In that case, I'm just giving an example. Let's say it's 20 men and 20 women. So in that case, I'm competing with 19 other men. Um, so, and obviously, like I said, I'll be talking to a lot of women, and everyone's gonna be different, but obviously there's that competition compared to when you're speaking, when you're just approaching someone that no one is approaching, because it's just you and that other person, and whether if it works, it works. If not, so I guess a little disadvantage is I'm competing with other guys while there's even the equal amount of women there. So I guess I don't know. I guess there is a little like a disadvantage. Just I don't know. What do you think about that? You think that doesn't matter? I mean, as long as I try to become more confident, just be myself.
Don't
What,
think
what,
about the other guys at all. They're not. Who cares? Like, let them be who they like. Thinking about them or worrying about them is not going to help you have a better conversation with the person that's sitting in front of you. Um, that's where the presence really comes in. Where you're like, I'm not thinking about anything else besides this. How long are the dates? Are they like 5 minutes?
I have no for this one. I don't know because this is a different host. I mean, I had the one I had on virtual, it was about like 5, 6 minutes, but the event is for like 4 hours. So I'm assuming it might be 10, 15 minutes, or it could be. Again, this is a different host hosting this event. It's not the same place that I went to last time. So it could be same or it could be different. I have no idea, but it's 4 hours. I'm assuming there's going to be some time, and also depends how many people are there, because if there's like 40 people or 50 people, you need at least like 5, 10 minutes for each person, right? So
Yeah, so what I would say is like the famous quote of like, don't focus on building a wall, focus on laying each brick as perfectly as you can. So instead of looking like, oh man, look how much I got all this I got to deal with, I got to build it. Like, no, that person in front of you for the 10 minutes, give it your all. Focus, ask the questions, be present. That's all you can do. There's don't worry about quote unquote competition. Don't worry about anything like that. Just focus on being the best version of yourself you can for each woman that sits down in front of you, or however you move, if you move in front of them.
yeah, so how it worked the last time in person was like we all had every time I met with a different woman, and we sat in different tables. So it was not like same spot, or one person was moving, the other person was saying it was different. But again, I don't know what to expect. I'm assuming it's similar but different. Um, I mean, listen, at the end of the day, it's about my confidence, how I look, how I can address myself to, try to make the other person be interested in me, and vice versa. If there is a connection, especially if there's something similar, because I think if there's similar interests, similar goals, and obviously this is, not just a regular speed dating event. This is an event from from my culture. So it's just going to be, people from even the same culture, and also people kind of brought up here, so you kind of get both cultures as well. But um, I guess my last question, I guess, is like I know I mentioned about the marriage. I know, like I said, if it was a regular date, just let it happen. If they ask for it, maybe in the third, fourth date. Some people are different. They want to know up front, so they don't want their time wasted or not. Do you think this is something I should not bring up when I go to this event?
Are you talking about marriage?
Yeah.
Um, I think here's what I would say. Don't necessarily say I'm looking for marriage. I would more make it like, what are your intentions with dating? Like, ask them about their intentions. What is it that they're looking for? And just see if it matches up with you. If they say something like, I'm looking to get, I'm looking for my life partner. I'm looking for the real thing. You're like, me too. Like something like that. But if they don't offer that, I wouldn't necessarily say like, I'm here for my wife. Like, um, but I think it's okay to like ask them what their intentions are. And you know what? I take it back. If you want to say, "Hey, I'm here to meet my future partner," I think that's okay too.
Oh no, no, no. Sorry, let me
Maybe I misheard.
No, because I mentioned today I used to be married. It didn't work out. Do I need to bring? Should I not bring that up? That's what I'm
No,
trying.
no, no, not for the first 15 minutes. Make the best first impression you can in 15 minutes. This isn't to like unpack the stuff that like you should go into in deeper conversation. This should just really be first impression only.
Yeah, I think because like I when I used to be married, I did something like an arranged marriage, so it's like, but I kind of knew the person through family, but again, like it's arranged marriage is not it's not like okay, your parents or family set you up and that's it. You get to talk to the person, and then if there's a connection, you hang out, and then you go from there. But with arranged marriage, you do get married quicker compared to a love marriage, where it's like you have a relationship.
Yeah.
And then, within time, if you feel like you're right, then you get engaged, you get married, or maybe you don't even get engaged. You just stay with each other, and because not everyone is going to get married. So, but I think in that situation, to bring it up right away is different. But I think this is dating. You don't know, who I'm going to meet. Even if I do have someone I like, or vice versa. I mean, I got to get the number first, and then like you mentioned, send a text or maybe even just tell her in person, be like, hey, next week I'm available. Let's say if she says, I like to play, I like aquariums, for example, right? I like to go to visit this, right? I can say, hey, how about next week we go to this aquarium and make some plans. So either maybe right away if I find someone, or maybe through text.
I
So
like that. I like that. Especially if you can be as specific as that. But even if you can't be as specific as that, I think again, just say, look, I think we have something here. I'd love to connect with you if you don't mind. Can I get your phone number? Something like that. Like, yeah, dude. But it sounds like you're on it, man. Yeah, get that haircut. Wear something that makes you feel good. Wear something that fits you. And I think you're on the money, homie.
yeah, no, I just wanted to get your opinion on this. Like I said, I'm gonna get ready. I'm gonna go there. Just be confident. I mean, listen. What is the worst that's gonna happen? I don't mean no one, and you just go on to the next event or next time you go out. Or best case, I get a number, and then I can kind of lead that to a date and go from there. So
Exactly.
it's all practice.
Yeah, take to me like feel the excitement of like talking to a bunch of like if I was single talking to 20 women, like that's exciting to me. Just like live in that excitement and push any kind of nervous energy away.
Yeah, no, I think it's exciting to because I think when I see when I see the woman at first, I do get nervous, but I think once I start talking, then I'm like, man, I think unless we don't hit it off at all, I definitely enjoy the conversation and just talking. And sometimes I might lose my train of thought and be like, I kind of pause, and then that, like I mentioned to you, that has happened to me before. But like I said, if that happens, just kind of ask like a general question, ask them something they mentioned, just to keep it going and no pause, or just even admit it. Some people might not care. So,
Exactly.
but yeah, I mean, like I said, I just want to get your opinion. I'm gonna get ready. Just go there. Just have a good time. If it works, it works. If not, this is all practice. And
Hell yeah.
I think once you meet the right person, it doesn't matter how many times you have to practice, whether if it's at a dating event, you go to a bar, you meet someone at school or whatever, maybe even in your job. Maybe, we can get lucky like you and meet someone at work. And,
Exactly.
then you can be like, hey, man, I learned all this. I made this mistake. I went to these different events. I've improved so much. And, that's definitely like good stories to tell, for your journey. So I'll keep you updated and,
Hell yeah. Yeah, let me know how
appreciate
it goes next week, dude.
all right. Sounds
You
good.
got this, homie.
Thanks.
All right. Okay. That's going to do it for me, everybody. Thank you for everybody for hanging out. Ameliorate this. You're always a solid hang. Beastie, I don't think you're here anymore. Aribal, thanks for hanging out. Emberly, newcomer, appreciate it. My boy Wes. Anybody who got on the mic, thank you so much, everybody. You guys have been great. I appreciate this community. You guys really want to help people and encourage people. It's really cool. I just like doing this. All right, everybody. Have a great weekend. I'll catch you next time.